3. Here we go. Moving on sports.
Moving on sports episode, I want to say 8.
Yeah, 8. I think so.
Gosh, we're crushing it. Huge day, January 20th, 2025. It's Inauguration Day. It's Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And it's the fucking national championship. Notre Dame, Ohio State. Let's go. What a day. Are you pumped, Sam?
No, I'm not.
All right. Well, I'm fired up. It's a Monday, too. So.
Yeah. I think, like college football is just like I'll be interested. And I think like once I start watching it, I'll get more into it. I don't know. I think this was like a pretty intense week of football. I think I got kind of, sapped some of my energy watching it.
I was gonna say there was so much good games this weekend that it's like, oh, here we got to go again. But let's do a little recap of little football.
Do you think like this was the best like playoff weekend for NFL ever? Maybe.
It's hard to compare because I can't like recall some off the top.
I can't think of any of it.
But these games are like as good as it gets, and how they ended too. A lot of them.
Yeah.
And even this game, I mean, I know was the final score 38-21.
I think so. I don't know. I just did ChatGPT for it, so.
Yeah, dude, that was not the score because remember the safety at the end pushed the line.
Yeah, Titans rookie. So, well, don't trust ChatGPT. Jesus.
ChatGPT fail.
Yeah. So it's like so it's 23-14.
23-14. I could bring up the box score if you want, but
yeah.
So Chiefs. It felt kind of like a classic Chiefs game. Patrick Mahomes. He just kind of like does enough at times, and then he does like some incredible things at other times that just get their team over the top. The touchdown to Kelsey, he's like his body is almost when he throws it.
That was pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's just like that's the type of stuff where you just got to take your head off to the guy. He's one of the best we've probably ever seen in the history of the league, in my opinion. And he's going for his 3rd straight Super Bowl. So, good for the Chiefs. Texans, I thought they battled. I mean, I really just think like not having anyone besides Nico Collins as like a real good target just really held them back because Nico, honestly, he's playing great. And
you think like Nico is probably the most underrated wide receiver in the NFL right now?
Yeah, no, I think that's totally fair.
Because I would say he's a superstar.
Yeah, he's legit superstar, man. And he's big. He just looks big out there. He looks solid, like catches everything.
Kind of like Antonio Brown type of thing, maybe.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I think him and Puka are kind of similar.
Yeah, Puka, yeah, that's a good comp.
But yeah, Mixon looked pretty good. I thought Stroud, and I hadn't watched a ton of Stroud all year, but he looks good, like throwing the ball. He's got a great arm, but it just doesn't. His awareness was really, really bad.
Yeah.
And like Karlaftis just kind of dominated.
Ridiculous.
He had 3 sacks in that game. Yeah, what'd you think?
I think this weekend showed the importance of O-line, I think with this one and the Rams game, where it went down the wire and the guard just let in Jalen Carter a couple times. And I guess it's like O-line, D-line, right? So they play off each other, right? So if your O-line sucks, their D-line's going to look good. If your O-line's great, their D-line's look bad. And then, you have like a trump card type thing. I think the ref situation is actually pretty on point. And like there'll be people that will say, oh, like in the playoffs, they've only benefited from these calls, like blah, blah, blah sometimes. And I don't know. So like, I think there's like a larger discussion about when to use facts versus when to like push a narrative. And neither one's like objectively or subjectively wrong. Like, I think there's sometimes where narratives are more factual and reality based than facts. And I think the narrative that the Chiefs get the calls and that the NFL wants them to be in the Super Bowl, I think that's absolutely true. And like whether it's not a conscious decision, but like subconsciously, the refs like know like, oh, you got Taylor Swift, they're the darlings, they're getting all this ad time. Mahomes is like the golden boy. I think a big thing too that there's no like controversy with any of these people. Like they're all kind of like like LeBron, where it's just they're just like made for the mass audience. Like they're kind of perfect, right? So you have like, they're like, I think being black kind of like helps, right? But like likable, like Lamar is a different. This is kind of like a like thorny discussion, but like Lamar black versus Mahomes black, like different. Like when you see like the ads, you always see like caramel color skin girl lady with like the big kind of like curly afro. Like there's a certain type of people that like media likes to push, and like I think Mahomes and Kelsey, Taylor Swift, I don't know, it just seems like perfect to a T. It's like if you could create like what's America's team look like for advertising purposes, I think it would be the Chiefs.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I agree with you, but I don't know if it's necessarily true. I think it's more of like that's the media decision makers like thoughts on what's palatable to Americans. But I don't know. Like I think Lamar is a superstar. I think he's awesome. I think a lot of people look up to him. Like I don't know how you don't watch this guy and he's funny.
I think
like
Lamar's good for people that like the sport, and like people like players, like maybe like kids like looking up like how do you emulate, especially like young black kids. I think like he's like a better Michael Vick, right? Like I don't think he has any like stuff about like his background. Like he seems a stand-up guy, right? He plays the game well. But it's just like he doesn't have that clutch factor, I don't know. Like I mean, this is like I think I saw in the playoffs, like he almost has as many turnovers as he does touchdowns during the playoffs. Like there's absolutely a narrative that he just falls apart. And you can be as good as you want during the regular season. It almost like it doesn't matter at all. People don't remember. I guess people remember MVPs, but people don't remember like, oh, your touchdown. Unless it's like Aaron Rodgers, right? Like unless you do something crazy, but like so we'll get to that game. I guess we should probably focus on this game. But
I want to say one thing about your the refs thing. So I have two thoughts on that. My first thought is I think the NFL like wants to protect quarterbacks almost too much.
Some of them, but only some quarterbacks.
Yeah, true. Like Lamar took some shots.
Yeah, and like Goff
took big shots. Yeah, but Mahomes seems to like he's kind of a runner, but he's not. Yeah, as the runner. He's kind of thought as more of a pocket passer. So when he does run around, the refs like protect him a little bit more. But so you have that where like, and to be honest, like I do agree. I don't want to see a backup quarterback playing in the playoffs for a Super Bowl. Like, we do want the best product out there. But then there's
the Rams. Like I really love seeing Goff off the field, but we'll get there. I'll save my name.
Yeah. But then the other side of me is like right now you have Tom Brady, who is the most decorated NFL player in history, right? He and Roger Goodell, 100% butt heads. He investigated Brady. Brady smashed the cell phones. Like there was this huge rift between them. And does Goodell, and you say like subconsciously, consciously, does he want to replace Brady with Patrick Mahomes as that guy? And I do think there is probably some personal animosity that does maybe play a role in some of this and how like the game is viewed a little bit.
Well, and also I saw that the ref crew, which is kind of interesting. Like I guess umps are like this too, right? Where you have like the head ref and then they have and they have their squad. I guess it'd be kind of interesting to know more about that. Like, is there like a draft? Are they assigned? Do they get to pick the guys? Like how does the whole squad thing work, especially for the playoffs? Like if you have a weak link, does the NFL force you to take someone else? Or are you just with those guys? But
you would think they would.
Yeah, right. But I don't think so. I mean, like refs are kind of like unions in America. They just have so much power and it's just unchecked,
It's crazy that refs are not a full-time position. Like it's the NFL. You should be
you make gazillions of dollars, and like something that really defies the effectiveness of
so much money on the line.
Yeah.
It's insane that they're not full time and pay them $1 million so that they don't cheat or whatever, whatever. No one cares.
And there's not like there's a crap ton of them, but there's maybe like 50, if so, 50, 100, probably 50, if that.
Yeah, I mean, we could probably look it up.
Yeah, I saw the ref crew, ref crew that did the Chiefs game. Mahomes has never lost when they ref the games.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, he does win a lot in general. But
so that's like a narrative, right?
Yeah.
I was trying to push there.
I don't know.
But I think
the Texans kind of blew this one.
Well, and they're just not the same level, right?
Yeah. I like their defense. I like Will Anderson, Danielle Hunter.
Yeah.
Edwards made some nice plays, but like they went for that fourth down, which I thought was a little too early. And they got the big stop. They get the ball back, and then Kansas City's defense, a lot of credit. We talked about this in the past, playing aggressively. And I think Kansas City and Spagnuolo, he's been known for being an aggressive coordinator, but a lot of those big plays in the game, he fucking sent the house. And you just make a quarterback make quick decisions. You can't let him move around too much. I think you got that's the way to do it, man. You gotta make him
you have to pick your spots though, right?
You do gotta be smart, but quarterbacks, especially at the end, big plays, they want to almost hold on to the ball and it's almost
be a superhero.
Yard football a little bit,
yeah.
Lamar last night or Jaden Daniels. It's I'm gonna make sure something's available. But if you just don't give them that ability, make them give the ball up. Make them take it all out of their hands. I don't know. I think it worked.
No, and I think so. Look at it's kind of telling or interesting that bottom of the screen, right? Points for, points against, completely even for Houston. I think them reaching it this far and then losing the Chiefs and then being oh, it was the refs, and I think that almost does them a disservice that they don't get to be as introspective as they probably should be, because they weren't a good team this year, right? They kind of stumbled their way into this record. They beat the Chargers, who it seems like the Chargers kind of beat themselves, right? And so I think the Texans need to do a lot more soul searching, because I don't think they're that competitive of a team. But they'll come onto this maybe thinking if we get a couple calls, this go this way, or we didn't play the Chiefs, or we don't do this, then we would have win, and we're right there with the top dogs. And I don't think they're with the top dogs at all.
And blaming injuries, which I think every team say at this point can.
But everyone's injured, everyone.
Diggs and Tank Dell were both out. So.
Yeah, I think we're really starting to learn that you having a number one wide receiver is kind of like a regular season type thing. All these teams, right, didn't really have that are moving on, don't have a bona fide number one.
Yeah, that's true. This is interesting. Hopkins 0.
And
then
one target. Yeah,
he's getting a little older, but the fact that he doesn't even get any. I saw this really interesting fact. Every team that won this weekend, they had less yards than the other team.
I saw that too. Yeah,
crazy. You just never, turnovers obviously played a big role this week. Yeah,
and rushing, running backs were more. It seemed more important than QBs this week.
Dude, I love the running backs nowadays. It's
the pendulum is shifted.
One thing that was a little surprise was obviously Travis Kelce is a great player. He's the best. I think he's the number one, number two receiver for all playoffs. But he was very open on some plays, and I just, you look at the lineup on the Chiefs. It's Worthy, Gray, Hopkins, Juju. You just gotta have a lot of eyes on Travis Kelce. Come on, you can't let him beat you out of all people.
But it happens all the time, And I guess it seems so simple. Just do zone, box and one. By NBA, just do box and one. Just one guy that all he does is stare at Kelce. That's it. That's it.
Yeah. And I don't know why they wouldn't do that, because sometimes you have a spy like quarterback.
Yeah. So Spy
He's
Kelsey.
just floating out there. It's like the same thing. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Guys double guys. Devontae got doubled a lot against us at times. So I don't know why Kelsey.
Well, they do like rub routes, so like the guy gets and you have to like pass him off, and I think that's kind of where it comes down to, because you have to do like a switch off, and then like who do you switch to him, but then you leave some other guy open, and then it's like Kelsey always ends up getting open. I think.
Kelsey, and he does a great job, like the scramble, kind of like the fire drill plays where they're just running around. I mean, Kelsey and Mahomes are just next level at that. They're probably the best in the league. And then Kelsey took like his longest catch, the 49-yard one. He breaks like a tat. He doesn't look like he's the fastest guy, but
he's not even close to the fastest guy.
And he just like, I don't know, it's just he's maybe more agile than he seems or something, but he just fucking gets away to get break tackles and get down the field. And I
think it's just the experience is showing, right? Like it's like every you could have a quicker first step than him, but no one probably has a better first step or second step than he does. It's always exactly where it needs to be.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see Chiefs and Bills.
Fourth playoff matchup now.
But yeah, I mean, good game. I thought this game kind of went, I guess, how I expected it to. I was kind of hoping the Texans could hang around, but Chiefs defense, I think Chiefs defense and defensive line really was a difference maker in this one.
And they're calm, cool, and collected in these moments.
Yep. All right. Moving on. Washington Commanders.
Ooh.
And your Detroit Lions. Sam, you're probably pretty happy about this one.
Oh my God, I was ecstatic.
Let's hear it.
All right, so my narrative, right? It's like I don't think I was ever wrong, and I think it was right on time. So one, I think it starts just from the top, right? So when the GM he goes and gets signs all these guys, right? And great, he's done something well, and you sign these guys and they have talent, whatever. But like DJ Reader, like Aleem, like some other cornerbacks, like there's a reason why the guy from the Saints, I think, where you can sign those guys and you can sign them for like 6, 7, 8 mil, and because they're like always injured. And I think it's a smart way to conduct business if you're trying to make yourself look awesome as a GM, because everyone just focuses on, oh, these guys got hurt. Like we would have won if they got hurt. And it's like it protects the narrative or protects like the whole ethos and integrity, like not integrity, but like narrative of your team. When it's like there's a reason why these guys were available and were able to get for cheap. And so then that trickles down to the drafting philosophy, where it's like you get these guys, you play cute, like getting Gibbs, like he's a monster, he's great. But if you had, I don't know, if you had the Tampa Bucky Irving instead of Gibbs, where they got him in like the 3rd round, and instead you use that 1st round pick on, I don't know, backup D-line guy, or the D-line kind of rotational guy, like you probably would be in a better spot than where you are. Like the Goff thing, like I kind of get it, because like once you have a QB, you kind of just have to pay that QB until you draft and develop someone else. And I think the process of doing Hooker was somewhat sound, even though he was drafted pretty early. But then you like do some cute shit where you get that like Canadian, I don't know, it's like tackle that was supposed to go in the 7th, and you get him in the 3rd, and then you like trade up a lot. And the whole organization has reeked of, I'm smarter than everyone else, my team is better than everyone else. And in the NFL, that just the margins of like talent disparity is so narrow. It's probably the most narrow of any sport, that no matter how good you are, it's never really about the talent. I think where the big variance in win, like success or loss, comes in like mindset, attitude, and preparation rather than talent. Like you need talent to like get to the dance, but to succeed at the dance, you need to have those intangibles and like be focused and locked in. And it's just kind of interesting that they just never took the Commanders seriously. They just thought this would be a cakewalk. They were looking ahead. And it reeks of that whole organization and its fans that they were arrogant. They've never had success, and they get a little taste of it, and now they get kicked in the mouth. Like, they are a pathetic franchise that deserves to be in the dirt and deserves to be like looked at as garbage. And I'm glad on the national stage that happened. And I couldn't ask for a better ending or a better culmination of what I knew would happen based on like 2 years ago. Just it takes time, but the more time it takes, the more vindicated you are. And I am feasting. I'm just straight up feasting.
Tell them how you really feel.
Yeah, right. I mean, but is any of that wrong? I don't think so. I think that's objective truth. I don't even think I'm biased, really.
No, I think you nailed some things. This is what I'll say. It takes all 53, 100%. They did the Lions. It's hard. The Lions team, and I think the fans, was a little bit of a reflection of the players. Because the players, like, remember Amon-Ra showing up with, like, Green Bay sucks, and Kirby, the safety, Kirby Joseph, just, like, talking a lot of shit, dirty player, being called out for injuries.
Like, do you think Kirby has something to be scared of that Trump said he's going to, like, label people as terrorists? Because he's a terrorist. And I would be scared if I was him with this new administration.
Start thinking about it for sure. Yeah. He should have asked for a preemptive pardon today.
Yeah, he should have. Maybe that will come down.
But yeah, we got some time left. So I think like those guys' attitude, like the fans kind of fed off it a little bit, and then the fans just went like nuts. It was bizarre. They were just talking so much shit. They're calling everyone else a poverty franchise. They're calling us little brother. It's like, who the hell do you guys think you are? You haven't done shit yet. Like you don't even know what success is. You've never seen success. You don't understand success. So yeah, I 100% agree with you there. I did think the Lions would play better. I just thought they had a lot of momentum. They beat the Vikings with a lot of injuries at home. They just had like this momentum going. And Washington came in 0 fucks. And I think we kind of called that actually. And Jaden, man, he just balled out, and their defense, like, finally it cost them. All those injuries did cost them this one. And then I did think that Ben Johnson, like, he had some great calls with, like, the reverse to Jamison Williams for the touchdown. But then it's like, why are you letting Jamison Williams go? Like, he just he got weird with it. And I don't know. Like, I kind of want him to be the Bears coach now. I did too. He went way too far. I think he is a weird person. So from a leadership perspective, I think he'll struggle. And then, like, Dan Campbell, he's like crying after the game and stuff. It was just kind of
he cries all the time. Yeah. It's just, yeah. And I think the GMO thing too is like really representative, where it's like he has done so many fuck ups, and they keep believing in him, keep giving him all these big plays. And it's like, at some point, like, you just have to be realistic of, this person is just immature, right? I think he eats garbage every day, and like, I don't know, he just seems like an immature 16-year-old that's trapped in like a cheetah athletic crazy type body, and like, to be a serious football team, like, you harness it by using it like on those that like what you mentioned, that reverse, right? That's a very impressive and smart and great way to utilize your team when you don't have your starting quarterback in. Like, kudos to you, honestly. That was smart, perfect play call. Couldn't ask anything better than that. Then it's overshadowed by, okay, you have Goffin, and I think it really speaks to their organization, Ben Johnson, right, what they actually view Goff. Like, they don't trust him when it's coming down the line. They don't trust him to make the plays. They have to deceive another team that's, like, when push comes to shove, they don't trust their talent to win games. And I think that's kind of, but that's completely against what their narrative of their team is, where they're all like, rah, 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 blah, blah, blah. And it's just, I think that's that's kind of like the crux of the issue of what I have a problem with it, because it's so, like, hypocritical and like two-faced, where it's like they're all about like player empowerment, like, oh, we're a family, we love each other, like all about like supporting one another and believing in one another. But then when you actually look at like the plays and like how they actually like what they actually do, there's no faith or trust there. And it's like that's what bothers me is like it's the like you present
Frauds.
one thing and do the other. Yeah, frauds, you know? And it's like and it's kind of like new money GME thing. Like it just for some reason like the core of my being that like stuff like that just disgusts me where you like luck into easy money and you think you're so much smarter and better than like old money. And like eventually that may work for a little while, but eventually like, you know, roosters come home to roost or whatever the saying is, and you get exposed. And, you know, like it'd be great if like I'm not even against like new developments or whatever, but there's like you have to be methodical and like you have to be kind of like Brady or Mahomes, right? Like or Jeff Allen. Like you have to put through the paces, you have to do the effort, you have to put in the work for it to be successful. You can't just, you know, just look into success. And I think the Lions, because they don't know what real success is like, they just think, oh, you can look into success. Like it's like a lottery, right? It's like all the poor communist people think that, oh, everyone just left in millions of dollars. Like if only I won the scratch off, then I'd be rich too. Rather than thinking like, no, like it's like talent, skill, preparation, work, attitude. That's what makes you successful in any aspect of life. And the Lions thought that they were, and they obviously weren't, you know, and their fans, you know, like I hope that they are suicidal because they deserve to be. They deserve to look themselves in the mirror and like it's like that painting like the narcissism of man. Like when you truly look into the abyss and you see the abyss staring back in your soul. Like I hope these people had a come to Jesus moment because they need it.
I think what says a lot too is how quickly they turned on Goff.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even
or Ben Johnson, right?
And Ben Johnson and Goff. What was he? He was 23 of 40, 3 picks. Yeah, it was pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
Awful.
Some of the picks, like the one pick at the end of the half, pushing the ball down the field.
Yeah,
you know, I don't know. I do think Gibbs, absolute superstar. He's probably my number one guy in fantasy football. Like looking at it going forward.
Or Saquon. I mean, him and Saquon.
He doesn't even need like 14 carries, 100 yards. Like he doesn't even need many touches, and he gets in the end zone like crazy. Amonra played well, but hilarious because he literally called out De'Ami Brown, and De'Ami Brown balled out. And
and has been balling out this playoff.
Yeah, and he's been great. Jaden Daniels, 299 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Doesn't make mistakes, and his release is crazy quick. He throws an insanely accurate ball, and then he does, you know, ran for 50 yards on 16 attempts. He just like gets it done. A lot of like first downs, extensions, on third down, just huge plays throughout the game. And I was just really impressed with Jaden Daniels. Honestly, I thought this was kind of like a breakout game. Like I'm here. No, I'm not like this good. Oh, really good for a rookie. It's like no, I'm just really good.
And if you're a Bears fan, you have to be thinking like this is the Mahomes Cutler situation again.
Mahomes Trubisky.
Oh, Mahomes Trubisky, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you have to think that. Like, I mean, I don't know how you can. Like, sure, Caleb's great, fine, but like, Jaden Daniels is special.
Why would you not take? I mean, the guy plays at LSU. He plays versus the SEC. Yeah. He wins the Heisman. And he sets like every freaking record rushing and passing along the way, total yards. I think he even beat some of Burrow's records.
Yeah.
They weren't even that great of a team, so he's kind of carrying them the whole time. And then you're like, well, Caleb Williams like runs around, and I just don't like. What was the Caleb? And he's 6'5". It's nice having a 6'5" guy who can
really nice having a 6'5" guy
and just move like that. So.
Yeah, and they like interview him. They even have him for a visit.
Yeah, I saw this really cool thing actually that he uses this German VR.
VR. Yeah. Well, I'm
and actually kind of like to our point about like the ADD generation with the younger guys. I think like this VR is actually a little more of a actually practicing. So. Pretty much it just like sends a bunch of images really quickly at you, and that allows for when you show up at the game, it just makes the game feel a little bit slower. Is the idea behind it. But I just like kind of, you know, he's pushing the game in new ways, and you know he's almost like Lamar Jackson, Michael Vick, but crazy accurate.
I honestly wouldn't put Lamar or Michael Vick in the same category as Jaden. I think he's clearly better. I think he's like Mahomes now. I think like he should be like. I think it does a disservice to mention Lamar with Jaden Daniels.
What number
at that point?
Give me your top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL right now.
All right, Love.
Okay.
Spencer Rattler.
Okay.
All right. I'll do it without without the guarantees of like the obvious number ones, number two.
Yeah.
All right. So I think Josh Allen number one, because he's you get both things of it, right? You get like the Jalen Hurts, like big bulky, can do like the short, get the short yardage, which is so freaking important in the NFL, and like just durability too, like taking hits. Like I think just durability is like really important, but also just he's really coming to his own, where realizing that and I think this playoffs proved it, that you don't need to be a superstar. You don't need to do the heroic plays every single play to win. You just need to just be methodical, and like what we saw with Jaden Daniels, what we saw with Mahomes, what we saw with Josh Allen, even I guess Hurts a little bit, but kind of not. More like Saquon on that game. But like you just need to not like shoot yourself in the foot. So I'd say Josh Allen first. I'd say Mahomes second, because he's not like objectively the best, like in terms of like I don't know, like draft profile, or like physical stuff, but it's just he knows how to just take advantage of every single rule set and every single play to the best of his ability. Like he's the Tom Brady of this generation, where he knows exactly, he pushes the line so far up to what needs to happen to win. And that's all he cares about. Like, doesn't care about his image, doesn't care. Like, he'll do all the bullshit that people hate, but it's like, it's part of the rules, right? So whatever, right? If you can do it, do it. I don't know. I think Jaden Daniels is probably three, honestly.
There you go. Over Lamar, so he's better than Lamar.
Yeah. I mean, like, to win a playoff game, like, would you take Lamar at this point over Jaden? Like, I wouldn't. Of like playoffs? Maybe
if you told me like the Ravens and the Commanders played tomorrow, I would probably take the Ravens. I thought Lamar was
but that's like the whole team, though. Like if you put Jaden Daniels on the Ravens and you put Lamar on the Commanders would be way worse off, I think.
Yeah.
Like, even worse than they are now. Like you give Jaden Daniels the Ravens, like holy shit, they would be insane team.
I guess I would probably go Mahomes one, just because there's just something like freaky special about him.
Yeah, he just always keeps finding a way to win.
He just does it. Like even next week, like you look at that game and I don't think he should win. They've been so close to like all these way worse teams all year, but somehow he'll probably find a way to figure it out. I would say Allen number two. I agree with you. Like his ability. You're right. Like his big improvement this year was like he had a ton of turnovers in the past, and he cut that down crazy.
Yeah,
with still having extremely high production, touchdowns, yards, rushing, goal line stuff. So, and I think he's also is like getting a little bit of that X factor clutch thing.
Yeah.
Like one thing about the Andrews drop last night was I would have loved to see Allen have the ball with a minute 30 and just see like he could probably get a field goal, but just see what he does. Like make a play. I just would have been a fun moment. And then I would maybe say it's a little tough because Burrow was so freaking good this year.
Yeah. I think I'd take Burrow or Jaden Daniels.
And then Jaden Daniels. I'll put Jaden Daniels number 5. I think that's pretty awesome, honestly. For a rookie, you're top 5 quarterback, and it's even debatable with those guys. And you have the legs, and you got his accuracy this year was awesome. So
and just like how like you saw the stuff with him on the sidelines. Like he looks unfazed, like about any of it. He just looks completely comfortable. Like that's fine, whatever. I got it.
Yep, that's what you got to be as a quarterback too. Like, and I think in life, honestly, you just got to be able to like move on. and like shit happens, but how can you affect the future? Like literally the past in life does not matter. I know like, you know, you can people dwell on it and shit, but like it literally does not matter. Like you cannot dwelling on the past sucks. I hate it. I don't
even like good stuff. It just prevents you from moving forward.
Yeah. So just like focus on what you can do today to affect the future, what you can do in this moment to affect the next play. And like Jaden Daniels did a great job of that, just battling through and because they were down early and it did feel like it was going to be a closer game. And then all of a sudden the pick, Jared Goff pick 6. Also, Jared Goff got fucking blown up on that play. And that was pretty awesome.
That was awesome. So good.
And everyone was like crying about it. I'm like, dude, if you try to go tackle the ball carrier, you can get fucked. So take it.
Yeah. Let's not move on yet. I want to shit on Lions more. Like this. I want to revel in this. I don't think the Lions go over 500 next year.
Oh, well, there are going to be a ton of changes, and their team is.
Yeah.
I think they have some contract stuff. I don't know if you saw. Like, I pulled up. Goff is like a $55 million hit.
Yeah, his hit goes
up. The bad part of this contract is
done. So now, like all the contracts they handed out, they're gonna have to start dealing with all that. And they that's the hard. Like it's easy. It's not easy, but it's easier, right? Like okay, when you have all this free cap space and you can just hand out contracts willy nilly, and you don't really have to make hard decisions, you know. And then I think what truly separates is like when you do have to make hard decisions, how do you operate? One thing I think we should on the Lions a little bit is how many free agents they are leaving them. I think it's like the most in the league, and I think it's like 20 players out of 53, which is absolutely insane. And then they have 3 picks next year because they trade up for like Dallas Turner and like the McCarthy thing. Like the Lions are.
Vikings. You're talking about the Vikings.
What? The Vikings? Yeah, I want to shit on them too. But the Vikings are losing so many people next year.
Yeah, they're losing a ton, and they have no draft picks.
Yeah, it's like their future looks terrible because I think Kwesi was trying to save his job, and I guess he did. But that team was fraudulent as fuck, and I don't know, like the Dallas Turner verse thing. You see Verse just being like a god, right? Like he looks insane, right? And Dallas Turner maybe develops into something. Like he's had some moments, but for how much you gave up for him and how kind of screwed you are in the future, I don't know. I guess it's all on JJ McCarthy.
Yeah, I think that's the funny part is like they're in this bizarre position of do they pay Darnold and take that?
I don't think they do.
Or like and the thing about having the rookie quarterback that you draft high is they're not getting paid $50 million a year, but they're still getting paid like 10, 12 when you're a high draft pick. So you kind of have to go with them, I think. You can't have $10 million sitting on the bench.
No.
For injured, and I will say this about the Red Commanders. I never get this right. They have kind of an older team.
Yeah.
Bobby Wagner in the middle. It's a lot of like older guys that got signed to kind of like put around Jaden Eckler, Ertz, Jameson Crowder.
That Lulu guy.
Yeah, Lulu, Lattimore. It's like Dante Fowler. He was like a high draft pick a couple years ago. Cullen Farrell. He was like a top Raiders draft pick, one of those horrible draft picks. So you have all these guys who like didn't quite pan out, and they got a little bit older, and now they're playing, I would say, pretty solid football together. And they're a little bit of an older team. The Packers are like the youngest team in the NFL, and it's an experiment that we've kind of done. And I think I like having a young team, but like you still got to have some older guys. That
we went too far. We went too far that way.
Yeah, and I think he like having a Bobby Wagner, I think would have been an awesome signing this year. Like you just put him in the middle of your defense, and he's a great leader, and he communicates, and physically he's a freak. And yeah, he's a little slower now, but like he's durable. And I think we got to get a couple of guys that are a little bit older and just like have the little more experience and can lead our guys. And I'm happy that like our young guys, are gaining experience, and it's exciting as we go in the future. But like, I don't know, you just look at this team and you're like, damn, man, like some of these guys aren't expensive, and
Yeah,
they
and it's like the playoffs is when those guys really flourish, right? Because like you get punched in the mouth or you have a mistake happen, and it's like they're like freaking out, as like a young guy would. Like you have all this experience, and it's like, like no, just move forward. Like we'll figure it out, and I think that is so invaluable in the playoffs.
100%, 100%. So respect to the Commanders, man. Hell of a tournament. Like new ownership, new GM, new coach, and they're going to the NFC Championship. Rookie quarterback. Obviously, they hit on Jaden Daniels, but Brian Robinson Jr. looked great. Daniels looked great. Eckler made some great. I mean, he's just a solid player. And
I think we have to do like MVP to the organization. We probably should have done this like MVP for each of these teams each week. But I think I'd give it to the owner. Like just incredible what you did, like since '92, right? Since they've like been in the conference championships, that's crazy.
Yeah, and I still can't believe it, but like and I think Jaden Daniels, I think he always just gives you a chance to win when you have a guy like that. So Eagles, it's going to be obviously tough.
But specifically as a rookie, like I think there's something when it's like you're a rookie and you're just playing, especially like LSU, right? It's like, oh, you think this is a national championship? Like, it's hard to get here, but it's not like people probably how it actually is. Like it's super fucking hard to win in the NFL. He just thinks, oh, it's hard, but like whatever, it's doable. And I think we see with Stroud, we see with Love, where it's like the second year, it's like you kind of just realize how difficult the NFL is, and then I think you get in your mindset a little bit. Like I think it's like a dead can like or a sophomore slump or whatever you want to call it, but there's just something to be said about the first year where it's like, oh shit, like beginner's luck or whatever.
Yeah, it's almost like ignorance is bliss. Like you don't even know how big of the moment it is, so you're just like rolling around, like all right,
whatever.
So,
but yeah, Lions exposed and couldn't ask, like just amazing. Like I almost liked I actually did. I liked the Lions losing more than I like felt bad about the Packers losing. Like it was more intense feeling for the Lions to lose than it was the Packers to lose. And that says something about me. And that's like a kind of a little brother syndrome. That's kind of representative of where the Packers are at right now. But you know what? Truth is truth.
We all need a little therapy in our lives.
Yeah, and I need that.
Maybe we're not above that. Just because we're
I'm not above that. No,
doesn't make us above that.
And it's not hypocritical for us to shit on LaFleur versus them to shit on like Dan Campbell and whatever. Exactly. Like I think we've earned the right as fans to do that.
Here's one thing I want to say to your point, and I just looked this up because I had a narrative and now the stats are fitting the narrative. So I love when that happens.
Yep.
When the first year starting, you see here Jordan Love, 17 games, 50 rush attempts, 247 yards, 4 touchdowns. And then this year, it's like, well, he's a great passer. He's playing so well, so we don't need him like to run as much.
Well, and he was hurt. I mean, he was hurt, right?
He was hurt, but like half the attempts, 83 yards in the whole year. Like he should be getting like he needs to make a couple of those third down, pick up 5 yards, get a first down. Like just a couple of those every single, first downs. Or where is it? First downs. He had 9.
Yeah.
16. It's like I just don't want to see like him becoming too much of a pocket passer. I think you got to like even Aaron Rodgers, throughout his
I think this is the year, like upcoming year. It's like you have to walk before you run, right? Like it's way more important for you to develop the pocket and understand that first. And I think he has that. And now it's like, okay, like understand the pocket, like this really difficult thing to like master. And I don't think he's mastered it, but he's gotten at least competent enough at it where you can start going on to other stuff. And now it's like, okay, when to use, like, it's like the QB kind of arc, right? First things like with most QBs is like run first, right? It's like if pressure comes in, freak out in the pocket, you just run. And then it's like the middle of the parabola, stay in the pocket almost no matter what, like you need to do that. And then it's like, okay, now you've done that. It comes like flips back around where it's like sometimes run, but also, pocket. Like then you make the decision of like what to do. And I think he's hopefully getting to that point where now it's like, okay, smart enough, experienced enough to figure that. Like I almost guarantee a Packers Super Bowl next year. Like it just feels like it. Like us getting punched in the mouth. We need that youngest team. We have all this free cap. Like our competition should be lessered. Especially the Vikings. I don't think we'll repeat it. Bears maybe get better, right? And I think that actually helps our division. That if the Bears get better, the other teams have to play them, and then they get, they're more of a, they kind of bring them down too. And this Lions, I think they're going to be in despair in that organization. Like you lose, like, because Dan Campbell is not a play caller, so you lose both your play callers, right? That's what looks like it's going to happen. And you just magically assume that these guys come in are going to do the same with it. And like now you have to pay people and you don't have as good draft picks and stuff. Like there's no way that they repeat it. Like if they do, I will, I'll do whatever. I'll lose that bet. But I think they're absolutely on the downswing. And Goff, I think, is just proven that's what he is.
To our listeners, if you have something for Sam to do, if the Lions go over 500 next year.
Well, let's do. All right. We'll do like a little. Actually, it should be a reward because that's a really bold thing for that. But if they do worse, which is like a really high ceiling, like it's pretty, going 15-2 or whatever, like it's like almost clearly. But like somewhere, like I think, like that 500 thing is a really bold thing. So let's tamper horses on that a little bit.
Okay. I'm just trying to, have a little fun here.
Yeah.
All right, Lions. So Washington moves on. Are we moving on? You good?
Yeah, I think the Bears, just want to keep another shout out, like that they probably fucked up again. And it seems like the Bears.
Little devil's advocate for you, though.
Okay. All right.
So the comment about staying in the pocket and learning that and like getting really good at that before unleashing Caleb Williams.
But he also kind of ran a lot. Like he took sacks and all that shit. And he would like run out of the pocket and do throws. Like he didn't do a lot of pocket throws. He did a lot of throws on the run.
He tried to stay in the pocket as long as possible. I'll give him credit for that. He held on to that ball for dear life.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. Like I could see Caleb Williams becoming good, but like just the sack. The sack things is and I think the Bears organization seems like it like takes direction from like the masses almost, like the masses decided Caleb was a superstar, so we're just gonna go with that, like the masses just pick a random coach that might be interesting to the Bears. We're just gonna interview them, like it seems like they don't have belief in themselves. And I mean, why would you? But
it's like we're just going to go with what the fans want because then they can't get mad at us if it doesn't go well, right?
But they do because the fans are retarded, like, like that's the thing, it's like the blind leading the blind.
I will say I do love this. Like, I mean, they didn't win a lot, but 81 attempts, 489 yards rushing, no touchdowns, a little odd, but 27 first down. I mean,
look at that 10 fumbles though.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Horrible. Yeah, and that's much of sacks. Like fumbles and sacks just don't get talked about enough. But sorry for interrupting.
No. I think you're right. So it was just kind of a fun little devil's advocate. We'll see.
Yeah.
I do agree with you. Love, like, we're going to see that next step next year. He had 2 years starting now. I think our wide receiver play is going to get a little more like focused. Tucker Kraft's a superstar. Josh Jacobs is a superstar. Our line should be really good again. I don't think Myers, but we'll see what happens there. I'm pumped. So, all right, moving on. Eagles, Rams, hell of a game. My buddy was at the game. He said it was like a movie. It was like the most beautiful thing. It was snowing.
Yeah.
It was hilarious because at first he's like, this is the greatest thing ever. And then like halfway through the game, he's like, all right, it's getting a little cold.
Yeah.
But
wow, look at that Jalen Hurts line. Jeez.
Okay, but
look at Stafford's line too. Ugh.
Josh Allen, what he only threw for like 100 and
and it's like it might just there's like like I totally am like, oh, Josh Allen totally won that game, and then Jalen Hurts like is a joke, and then but you're right, there's some I have bias there.
I'm
Yeah,
pushing
that's
back
fair.
on the narrative of Jalen Hurts, and I know he says it, and it fits his own. But I do really think like he doesn't give a shit about anything except winning. He had the really big
Yeah,
touchdown run to start the game,
yeah,
and then like it's a snow football game, and you got Saquon Barkley
yeah,
standing next to you. You
yeah.
hand him the ball 26 times. He breaks He had like two really long touchdowns,
Mhm.
and he kind of dominated. The crazy part though about this game was it felt like Eagles were playing so well. They're running all over. Their D line was like incredible.
Yeah,
All of a sudden, the Rams still are back at they get the ball back, end of the game to make it happen. And they had a chance to like win the game.
hmm
And Puka has this incredible catch on the sidelines that gets him to
insane.
the team. And then Stafford just kind of the Eagles D line. Honestly, I think a lot of credit to the Eagles D line.
hmm
They're just freaking animals up there, and I would love to have one of those guys.
Like,
Someone
thank God the Bears didn't draft Jalen Carter. Like, holy cow.
Carter. I would take Verse. I would take Carter.
Yeah,
I want someone like that so bad on our
so
team.
bad. Like, you need it, and that it's like then you like compare that to fucking Kenny Clark, and it's like Jesus,
And we're
like
paying them like triple.
yeah, we're paying him a lot. We're paying him a lot, and he's just you don't even know he's there. Like you could totally like I mean yeah, he takes double teams and like blah 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 cope, but like no, like not even close
There's
to
no
these guys.
more.
Yeah,
No more hope. I'm sorry, Kenny, but we love
yeah,
you. But
we need
you
a
got
superstar.
yeah. I think he's a 3-4 nose tackle.
That's what he is, and he's fine. Like maybe he's above average,
Can we trade him?
maybe. No, we no.
Max
I mean,
Crosby.
yeah, I don't know. We need some superstar. Like, I think it's like defensively is way more important than offense, and it has to be someone in like the line. Whether it's an edge or D line. But like, I think this shows that we just need, and it's supposed to be Rashawn Gary, and like maybe we're not utilizing him right. Maybe like and like yeah, you look at like he's great at run contain. And all that stuff is really important, and it's all that stuff. But like when like you gotta have it, it's like we don't have the guy where it's like you gotta have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't get it too. Like, because you look at Gary physically, he has every tool in the book.
He's
And then
there.
even like I will say this, Van Ness, like, dude, you're a top 15 draft pick and you don't do shit. Devontae Wyatt barely even plays. And then you have like George Karlaftis carrying games, and he was an end of the first round draft pick. Guys are there. Guys are available. Is it an attitude? We did fire our D-line coach, so thank God for that.
And that was I think one of the only holdovers from the Barry regime.
Yeah, so I do think
how did we not get rid of him to begin with? Yeah,
we'll see a big change there, or we just need to see a change. Like whatever.
We have to not lose. We have to not lose Hafley. Like that would be so bad.
Hafley, yeah, I know. I don't want to.
Although if he gets a lot, I'd be okay with it. Or Bill Belichick as DC.
Whoa. But like, I don't want to just. I love going to the 4-3. I'm happy with it. I thought our defense was awesome. It fixed some of the holes we had on like run defense.
Oh my God.
If we bring in a new guy who then goes 3-4, it's just going to be like, oh fuck.
Yeah, but I mean, I think we have to commit to 4-3. I mean, I think that's the way to go. And like you're on that track, stay on that track. I don't think. But like Hafley, like I remember because I watched a ton of his press conferences, stuff like he loves his family and like being close with them, and I think it's like difficult for him, to be in Green Bay and stuff. So like being a head coach closer to home, like I think that is an attractive opportunity for him, So I wouldn't be surprised if he takes the Jets job.
So he's an East Coast guy.
Yeah, he's from Maryland, I think.
Yeah, well, hopefully,
or maybe New Jersey. Maybe New Jersey.
Yeah. Hopefully they offer it to someone else. Mike McCarthy's available, Jets. So think about it. Something to think about. Anyway, what'd you think of this game?
Yeah, I mean, I think this proved that the pendulum's completely like it's running backs. Like running backs are so important now. It seems, especially cold weather, playoff football. I mean, Saquon is just special, fucking special, and I'm kind of glad that we just get to see this talent, on the big stage, and kind of good for him. I think he kind of changed my mind a little bit, Jalen Hurts. Like I was just gonna shit on him and be like he got carried. I mean, he kind of did get carried, but like he didn't make mistakes, right? And shit, that's really I think almost your primary job. The Kyler Williams fumble was terrible. Like the Rams made mistakes, the Eagles didn't, and I think the Ram like that they had that rookie guard who was like kind of up and down during the season, but like kind of came into his own. But then you get down the wire, get beat twice, right? And it was weird because they did like a slide, like they did a complicated offensive line maneuver and that like end of scenario situation. You'd think like with a rookie, like almost got a little too cute for themselves, where it's like just play, play 1-on-1. I mean, because like Stafford had Higbee, I think, wide open. So it's like if he just got like a second, like they would have won. But now like just crazy, like 1 second changes the whole everything. And Stafford might have said like this is his last game, which is crazy to think about. But like I don't know.
I wasn't even thinking about that before the game, and then he's like, "Yeah, I got some decisions to make." And I was like, "Oh shit!" Like I don't want to run it back with.
I don't know, but like he takes a lot of hits, like he's taken a lot of hits, and like he's won a Super Bowl already. Like I don't know, like I totally get it. Just like I think he has like young kids, right? So,
made a lot of
why
money.
not? And probably the fire, maybe I don't know. Like I think the fire probably think like like how fleeting life is, makes you think about it. I don't know, maybe if that was living in LA.
60, almost 60,000 career yards, 377 touchdowns. I mean,
gonna be 37. Yeah. Like when you're 37, do you want to take big hits like that? I don't think I would.
Yeah. He's lived up to his first overall draft.
100%. 100%. Great career. Maybe probably not Hall of Fame, but all very good.
I guess, yeah. I don't know. Would you throw him in the Hall?
I haven't really thought about it.
He's never really been like an MVP guy though, really, which is interesting.
Yeah, what's this? Is there like you can see like MVP placements? Probably awards, right? Awards.
Bum.
Snap
count right here. Leadership awards, 9 awards. Comeback Player of the Year and top 100. 2 Pro Bowls, 4-time Player of the Week. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's been a lot of times. He was in the Lions for a lot. Here's his Hall of Fame monitor, 84. Average Hall of Fame was 103, so he's a little low there. 23rd quarterbacks.
Yeah, all very good.
Yeah, all very good. Maybe if he's like well liked by the voters,
kind of crazy. Peyton Manning is so much more than Aaron Rodgers there. Hall of Fame monitor.
Oh yeah, I can share that again.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. That's a
Brady, Manning, and then just a huge gap.
It's because Aaron just won the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
But I guess Manning had
2. Yeah.
2 different franchises was kind of cool.
Johnny Unitas is better than I thought he was.
Especially for the era he played in. 40,000 passes.
I guess I didn't realize he was that good.
Joe, look at Brett Favre. That's actually awesome that we have number 3 and number
2
4.
out of 5. Yeah.
And then Jordan Love's probably not too far behind.
Probably not. Yeah. Bart Starr. Wow, Frank Tarkenton too. Yeah. Wow, Patrick Mahomes is already there. Jeez.
30 Hall of Fame career.
Almost average Hall of Fame. How old is Mahomes? 28 right now?
Yeah, that sounds about right. 29.
29. Oh. He's kind of older.
Look at that. Yeah, you can play for a while. I mean, he could play for 10 years.
Especially like nowadays.
Yeah, and they win the Super Bowl every freaking year. So
yeah, Philip Rivers is higher than I thought. Going back to that.
Philip Rivers was.
Yeah, look at that. Better than Bart Starr. And Ben Roethlisberger too.
Terry Bradshaw.
Yeah. Eli better than Stafford. I think Eli. I don't know. I guess average, but
I would put
Russell
Eli
Wilson.
in just because he's such like a historical part of the game.
Yeah, like memorable, right?
Yeah, like beating the 18-1 Patriots. Like I don't know,
Mhm.
something about that's just kind of you can't tell the history of the NFL without Eli Manning. I guess you
Yeah.
know.
Lamar's kind of up there too. So,
Yeah, 3 MVPs. Well,
yeah.
2 MVPs, maybe 3. Right?
Yeah, maybe 3. We're really kind of blessed with how many good quarterbacks have happened in our, I guess, our lifetime, like our kind of like paying attention lifetime.
And they just keep coming. You know.
They just keep coming. Yeah.
Actually, I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know if Shadar Sanders is going to be that good.
No, I don't see any of it.
I kind of hope he gets drafted high just to kind of see what happens. But
Yeah, the Raiders, like
I like Cam Ward, man. I think Cam Ward's a baller. He's got an arm.
I like Jackson
nice.
Dart. And I don't even know how I've never even watched Jackson Dart play.
I would take Jackson Dart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would take Jackson Dart. I think he reminds me of kind of like I don't want to say Burrow, but a little bit like Burrow. You know.
Oh wow.
Like coming out, I don't know. I thought he was pretty damn good. Like, and there's a good ball, good arm. He kind of has a similar attitude. I don't know, kind of Burrowy.
All right.
All right. I mean, I don't know. This game, it was a great game, but it came down a lot. But
I wasn't really impressed by the Eagles at all.
Yeah. Do you think that was?
Like, I was impressed by Saquon a lot, but like I don't know. They didn't seem like I think the Commanders have a pretty good shot to win.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, 5 sacks. I think I was impressed by. The LA had 7 sacks. Damn.
Yeah. They almost had the most sacks ever in 2 games in the playoffs. They had like 16 sacks, and that's like the most ever all playoffs in 2 games.
Yeah. Hey, we've been preaching about drafting, dominating the line of scrimmage, and Rams took 2 guys on the D line,
and they got Kobe Turner the year before, Wake Forest guy.
Yeah, so you got Kobe there who had a sack, you got Verse who had 2 sacks, and Fisk had another sack too. So, and I think he was hurt a little bit too. So
yeah. That GM I think is pretty underrated. Like the Rams GM for not having like picks, but still like drafting as well as they have. And they're like I think second youngest team in the NFL. Their future looks pretty bright. Although if they don't have Stafford, that I could see Darnold going there. That makes sense to me.
Oh, dude, I love that honestly.
Yeah, like doesn't that make a lot of sense?
Yeah, I really like that thought actually.
Yeah.
All right, down to the Rams. You heard it here first. Sam Grumau.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sam.
Yep. You're welcome.
All right, moving on.
Moving on.
What do you think? Was this the game of the? I mean, I know you love the Lions losing, but I think this was probably the game. This had the most hype. Most hype,
yes.
Right?
And well deserved, right?
Yeah, you got the battle of the MVPs. And I think it kind of lived up to the hype too. I mean, it pretty much came down to a minute 30 left in the game. And so yeah, look at Josh Allen's stat line there: 16 to 22, 127 yards, no touchdowns, no picks, and then he only had 20 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns though. So
2 touchdowns.
He's a freaking beast when you're in the goal line, and that's where I would love to see a team take a Justin Fields and do some goal line.
The Steelers. It seems like the Steelers are gonna move forward with Fields.
Oh, shoot.
Like, nice. As their QB1. I mean, that's just the rumor stuff.
Okay, Russell Wilson to the Rams. Another potential.
No. It doesn't feel like it works.
I like Darnold better too, but
yeah.
We'll see. Russell Wilson to the Vikings.
No.
Anyway, what'd you think about this one?
So I think people are going to focus a lot on like the Mark Andrews thing, and then people are going to be like, oh, then they're going to be like, no, we should really focus on Lamar leading that drive at the end. And then people should really focus on how bad Lamar was in the first half. Like thank God, and he probably is so happy that Mark Andrews dropped that ball. Like I think he might have threw a bad a ball that looked good and where it should be caught, but maybe it wasn't just good enough to be caught or targeted. So it's like he can like put the blame on someone else other than himself.
Yeah,
I think Lamar lost his game. He lost his game for him. He is a playoff choker.
he did struggle in the first half, and the Bills' defense, they're
Like Matt Milano, I think was MVP of the Bills.
yeah. Milano was awesome. I was a little disappointed, to be honest, with the Bills' offense. I thought they were just going to score more.
Yeah.
But
Well,
it was mostly like
good.
turnover. They took advantage of turnovers. Like pretty much
Yeah.
every turnover, I feel like they scored after.
Yeah.
So there's just so much momentum shifts. And Lamar, the fumble, right? The fumble and the pick. Yeah. And I think they scored 2 touchdowns off that. So like, yeah, 100%. It is kind of funny because you watch the drop at the end, and I will say, brutal drop. I thought he caught it when watching, just because like it was hard to see, and he kind of fell back, and I was like, all right, sweet.
I scrolled out.
I'm like, how the hell did he drop it? I'm like, oh, was he out of bounds? And then I'm like, I don't know. Every time I watch the replay, I still can't figure out how he like, oh, dude, I don't know.
And I think that's kind of crazy how easy that last drive was for the Ravens. Like it seemed like the Bills, were just watching. They seemed like spectators, you know. Like it's almost like, oh, we want to give him a shot, you know. And all right. So, do you agree with that field goal or like going for it? Like I kind of agree with the field goal, to be honest. Because if like you lose touchdown, you know, like if you don't get it, and it was like 2 yards, you know, I know. I think going up 8 was the right call
for the
for the Bills, like where they could have, you know, 4th down, they did the field goal instead of going for it.
Yeah, no, I think you got to go. I like going for 8 because that kind of guarantees,
like you have a shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you trust Allen to make the play. Didn't they or they didn't miss anything, but the Ravens went for a 2-point conversion earlier in the game.
And I missed it, yeah.
You missed it, yeah. And then, you know, I guess hindsight's 2020, but you had Justin Kicker, 2 extra points, tie game. So.
The Baltimore didn't punt. Kind of crazy.
Yeah, that is kind of crazy. A lot of turnovers. Yeah, I thought Lamar. I just knew like Lamar was going to get a touchdown. The way he was like running around, he just seemed. It was kind of a weird. I don't know. It was getting so cold at the end of that game. Every hit just looked like I was in pain watching. I'm like, God. Every dude, he would get hit, and then they would just lie there for like 10 seconds.
Yeah,
and be like, please, someone like drag my body off the field, and then they'd like run back out after the player too. It's like it's just like painful, and I couldn't believe none of them were wearing like any sleeves. I mean, these dudes are just like a different level of human. I'm a little Chihuahua puppy dog over here.
Yeah,
you got some German Shepherds out in the field, so. Like I said before, I just really wish we had the Allen moment or the opportunity to see if Allen could have clutched up there.
I think he's probably saving it for the Chiefs game. Hopefully.
Saving it for the Chiefs. That'll be an epic battle. I'm really excited to look forward. This was a great battle. MVPs. Does it change I feel like more people now, they almost feel bad for Lamar, so they kind of want to give him the MVP. That was kind of the sense I was getting on social media. Yeah. Which I think is like kind of lame. It was like, well, I know he lost, but he's going to get another MVP and like he'll be back. And I don't know. I feel like screw the MVPs. Like Lamar, and he was pissed after the game too. He's like,
but he looked like pretty so right after when he was doing like handshakes, like he was like laughing, and like that was just really telling to me. Like he didn't, I don't know, maybe he put on a face or whatever, but I don't know. Like I don't think he has that much of a drive to win, you know? Like I think it's a lot, but I don't think it's like to the level of like Mahomes or Josh. Like if you like lose a game, that big game, and it's like where the narratives you haven't won, you know, and like you're like laughing at all and you're not just like super pissed off. Like, you know, I don't think he has that killer mindset to win. Lamar does. I think he has a killer mindset to like be good. But I think being good is different than to win.
He hasn't been able to get the job done so far. It's not easy, but he definitely had an opportunity right here to shut the haters up, you could say. And he had 2 turnovers that were massive in this game. Pretty much lost him the game. So I had Mark Andrews on like 3 of my fantasy teams this year, and he sucked and he annoyed the hell out of me. So
Yep.
I was actually a little bit happy that he dropped that ball and the fumble. Mark Andrews also had a horrible fumble.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't even know what he was doing. He catches the ball midfield.
It's like, whoa.
He goes the other way, and then he fumbles the ball too. It's like, dude, I don't know. Like,
Especially like understand like the conditions you're playing in too, where like it's slippery, the ball is slippery, like you have guys like going all out to win. I don't know. Like I guess like people want to be heroes, but it seems like more often than not when you try to be a hero, that's when shit goes bad.
Yeah, and he's not like, what's he gonna do?
He's not the guy. No. Yeah.
3 yards. Like, dude, what are you doing? So you got to be smarter. I kind of like Likely a little better.
Yeah, I think Likely is really coming to his own.
Yeah, and they still, and it's been like a couple of years now, but they're still just struggling finding a wideout.
Yeah, well,
and
Zay Flowers is hurt. Yeah,
he's hurt, but he's still kind of a smaller guy. I don't know. Yeah. And then my other thought was, I just can never like get enough Derrick Henry, and I know they were down, so they were kind of playing.
But I don't think Derrick Henry was good this game.
Yeah, I don't know. 16
he was touchdown. Yeah, that's not that good.
It's not great, but I just would like to see the threat maybe of him a little bit more, or just more of that like that RPO stuff. I just like seeing a lot of like.
I think it hurts because he can't catch. So it's like if you have him in there, you're basically telling what is going to happen. I think Josh Jacobs is a little bit better. He's a better catcher, and I think this year kind of showed like he's coming into it, but he hasn't historically done it. But I think that is like a huge pain point, is that if you have a running back that, is like one-dimensional, not only does it hurt you that they're one-dimensional, but then it hurts because it tells the defense, like, this person's in, this is what's happening. If this person's out, this is what's happening, And, like, I think that it was, like, in the first quarter where he had that, like, easy ball, and he could have, like, ran down the whole sideline, but he dropped it, Like, I don't know. I think Derrick Henry, like, it was like, oh, Derrick Henry or Saquon, like, best, and, like, Josh Jacobs in there. But it's like, I think Saquon is clearly, of those three, clearly the better. Like, I love Josh Jacobs, but Saquon is his own category versus those guys. And, like, Gibbs, I think it's like Gibbs, Saquon, really, like, Josh Jacobs and Derrick Henry are, like, below that.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. And even like, I mean, the biggest drive of the game, you have your star running back. He can't be in because, like you're saying, Justice Hill is in. And Hill had a couple nice plays for first downs, but it's still just like you can't. And it's like you can't be a superstar if, like, you're not seeing the field at those points. It's like NBA. Like if you get pulled out because your defense or whatever, like you're not a superstar. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think it's a good take. I don't know. I just like earlier in the game, maybe just like pound the ball, control the ball more. Just try to limit those turnovers. But because
that's what you gotta do.
Maybe Lamar had to settle down a little bit, or he was just trying to do so. I don't know. He great though. He just kind of messed up and he made some bad plays.
That's what they lost. I mean, it's kind of like the narrative of all these games. It's kind of superficial, easy narrative, but whoever made the mistakes lost. One point I want to make before I forget it. Harbaugh is really flying under the radar, and he has not really had success, And I think that's kind of interesting that, like, no one really talks about, like, should Harbaugh seat be hot? Like, is he overrated? He always just seems to kind of, like, just fly, like, oh, he's, like, good. Like, Tomlin gets crap, or, like, I don't know, like the Lions do for, like all these coaches that lost kind of get more crap, but like Harbaugh, I haven't heard anything about maybe he should take accountability for this.
It is interesting. It's all Lamar Jackson and right now it's Andrews, but you don't hear anything about Harbaugh
at all.
Is he just like that well respected, or is it he's always he's kind of fallen into that territory of like
a Tomlin,
always around there, but never really like making the jump. It's a
tough division. Did Harbaugh won with whatchamacallit, with Flacco?
He won remember the Harbaugh Bowl they won?
Okay.
Who was his quarterback for that? Was that Lamar?
Was that Flacco?
It had to have been.
No, Flacco. Lamar has one.
Or was it some random guy?
Yeah, so 2012. 2012.
They had a great defense.
Yeah.
That's kind of more of what I think it was like
It was Flacco. It was Flacco. Yeah, it was Flacco.
And Kaepernick, right, was playing? think he beat us. Kaepernick. Yeah. Blech.
Playoff results. Yeah. So Packers beat the Vikings, and then Ravens beat Broncos. We lost. Yeah, we lost to the 49ers. Wow, 45-31. Ugh.
That was Kaepernick running for like 200 yards.
Yeah. And Ravens beat Patriots 28-13. Niners beat Falcons. Oh, that was a 2024. Niners beat Falcons, then Ravens beat Niners 34-31. Wow, this game was closer than I thought.
Yeah. That was the game where the lights went off like randomly in the middle of the game.
Oh, yeah. Wow,
It was a
maybe
great game.
mission to
like,
the fire.
There was a little bit of a narrative there because I think Niners had like a lot of momentum, and then all of a sudden the lights go down, the game stops, and the Ravens came back out like all fired up, and it kind of flipped the game. It was a weird moment, but maybe
So Harbaugh's playoff record is 542, 13 playoff wins, 11 losses.
Okay, yeah, and a lot of it was that run, right? Like 4 right there.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's not great.
Yeah, it's a tough era though. You're playing against Mahomes, Allen, and
that was before Mahomes and Allen. Like, I mean, he started in 2008. Yeah, he's been a coach for John Harbaugh, 62. Jesus.
Yeah, he's been there the whole think of he's been there the whole time, and Jim has gone from Niners to Michigan to Chargers.
Yeah,
I think he took a couple years off and did I don't know, consulting. But anyway,
I want to see Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin playoff career win-loss 421. All right, so Mike Tomlin's 8-11, and Harbaugh is 13-11.
What would it'd be interesting just to see the playoff records of current NFL coaches.
Yeah,
like Dan Campbell, what's he 1-2?
Yeah. Dan Campbell.
What's LaFleur?
Let's look. Campbell.
Dun, dun.
Yeah, Dan Campbell is he's 2-2.
2-2, okay. And MLF is
one thing I was thinking about Don Shula. Oh, Matt LaFleur is 3-5. Ugh.
Yeah, that's
it's
a little concerning. I'll be honest. There is a little concerning.
So I want to go back to this thought I had. So if there's a possibility Hafley's I'm going to take this job with the Jets, I would be down to say trade Matt LaFleur to a team for I'd trade him to the Bills for a first round pick.
With the Bills?
Or no, to the Bears for a first round pick, DJ Moore, and their good cornerback. I would do that.
I would 1,000,000% do that. I doubt they'd give up Jalen Johnson. That'd be sick though. Well, I would trade him to the Raiders for Crosby.
Oh, 100%. And I would throw in you can have Lucas Van Ness too.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of on the train right now, and hopefully a little time helps heal me, but I'm kind of on the Matt LaFleur as an offensive coordinator train. So
yeah, although I stare at his regular season win-loss.
And he needs to grow a pair of balls, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know, something needs to happen where he says fuck it and just, I don't know, man, get some face tattoos or
teardrop
and start smoking crack, or I don't know. He just needs to find an edge.
Yeah.
Go to the boonies of Green Bay, Wisconsin, go out in the boonies, go out north and just live in the woods for 4 days.
Yeah, dude, he needs to do a darkness retreat. Unironically. But yeah, I think Hafley's more important to our team right now than LaFleur is. Hot take.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind it. I think we can more easily replace Matt LaFleur than replace Hafley.
You know, and that's like any other team fan hears that and they're just like banging their head against the wall. Like it's like the same thing with our QB where it's like, yeah, we couldn't play Aaron Rodgers, you know, and like
I would defend Jordan Love over Matt LaFleur.
Yeah, I would too. Even though you like look at the record, like it's pretty incredible what he's done. To be honest.
Yeah, but he did come into a pretty nice situation. I mean,
yeah. But I mean, like, to navigate that, right? To go from like a Hall of Famer to Jordan Love. I mean, that's like in of itself. Like, I think that's probably the hardest thing for a head coach to do. To be honest, is transition from a quarterback to another quarterback, especially a Hall of Fame QB to another young QB, right? Because you have to have so different skill sets, like managing ego, like, you know, like kind of helping a Hall of Famer do his thing versus like mentoring, you know, like that's probably the most diverse skill set you can have as a head coach. And like, that's very rare, I think. Like Bill Belichick hasn't done that.
I do think a big part of that though was Tom Clements. Tom Clements was really good quarterback coach, close with Lee-Rod, and have him like transition with, and then he retired now. So that'll be an interesting one to watch. Interesting to see like what Love's development looks like next year and who we get for that. But yeah, I mean, you're right though. Managing like the egos there is pain in the ass. I think like transitioning this in life in general is a hard thing to do. I mean, from what I've heard, I've seen, it seems painful. So,
well, and it's kind of telling that we haven't fired Rich Bisaccia. Like you would, like if that would have happened, would it have happened by now? Like we fired that D-line coach, you know, like it feels like that would have happened. And I don't know, like our special teams are still garbage. And I know he's like an assistant coach, and LaFleur seems to like him, but it just seems like the Barry situation again, where it's like they're good friends, so he's like not objective about the situation, you know? Like I think firing a D-line coach maybe isn't enough shake-up that this team needs. Like that needed to happen, but the special teams has still been garbage, you know, and it's always been garbage.
Our kicking got better when we signed McManus.
Yeah, but like fucking Keyshawn, you know, that punt. Like I think just taking punts out.
Is that Keyshawn though, like making his own kind of decision?
Yeah, probably, you know, and like I don't know.
He did, and then the NFL came out and said it should have been a flag.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't
but like still, even like it's playoffs. Like you need to be good enough where even if like shit like that happens, you need to like not do it, you know, or just like not take it out. Like, and I hate that we got the ball first. Like if we didn't get the ball first, I think we win that game because I think it's like then it's like a whole different play style, which it led us. You could tell that I'm still not over this. I guess I thought it was. I'm not though. But like, god damn, man, this Eagles team just looks beatable. They look so beatable, and maybe that's like the trap.
I think that's a great segue into should Packers get a redo?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you just see all these teams like, I don't know, like if we, that's like every team. I'm gonna be a giant hypocrite, but you know, whatever, fine. But like, basically all the teams that lost were the teams that shot themselves in the foot. The Packers lost because they shot themselves in the foot, and if they don't do that, then they don't lose. But that's the reason why they lost. But like, just some part of me feels like if we got a chance to do it again, I don't know, like we would have won. You know, and it was close. Like shit, it was a lot closer than like of all the NFC North teams that lost, ours was the least bad, and like it should have been the most bad, given like just how shitty we performed. But like what we did with Saquon was even like it was impressive at the time, but it's even now I think more impressive just how good we contained him.
He could have had a very long touchdown run at the end of the game.
Yeah, and I turned the game off by then, so I didn't see that. So it's like protecting my health. That I know that happened, but I didn't see it. So I'm pretending it didn't happen. You know.
The game would have been like so different. And dude, like I'm 100% with you though. Starting a game with a fucking fumble and then you have no pass rush for like 6 seconds and you get a touchdown. It's it's like shocking, and you're already, you know, not supposed to win the game. You're at Philly, everything else. But that's a little bit of the mentality. Like you got to move on, but it does just suck.
We're just too young. I think we were too young to move on.
It was so
from
painful.
That point forward. Yeah.
watching that, and that's my nightmare. Like with Notre Dame tonight is like just don't do like don't start the game with some bullshit where you just give the team a 7 points. So, but I will say like that is execution and that is coaching. Like,
but I think Notre Dame looks pretty well coached this year though.
Yeah, and I worry about Matt LaFleur though. Like, don't you got to talk to Keyshawn Nixon and be like, dude, like if you know whatever happens, but like number one, we're not fucking fumbling this football. Like, number one. And now he doesn't even, and then like after he's like, I don't really want to be a kick returner anymore.
Yeah.
And you're like, bro, your whole like you return like the stupidest one. He returned it from like 8 yards deep in the end zone, and we'd start the 17-yard line. And what frustrated me too was like, like why it never changed. He would do that, and it would just
keep doing it.
Yeah, and I thought that with the new kickoff this year and just like how it worked, I thought he would be able to like break like get through that line and go. But you know, maybe like we should look at the special teams because special teams has changed so much just from like X's and O's. Maybe like Sasha isn't a great coach because who is a good coach? Something that's not of new, right? Like it's kind of a new opportunity for everyone. And
like it seems like you need a nerd. You need like a statistician nerd on special teams to like just take advantage of like what's the cutting edge stats they for this. And it feels like you want them to return the ball because getting it automatically on the 30-yard line is such a advantage, you know? Like I don't think maybe there's been one or two kickoff returns. I don't think actually maybe there hasn't been a single kickoff return for a touchdown this year. Like I don't remember any.
I thought there
maybe there was one. There was one. I think I remember one. Like Commanders maybe did one or someone. But like it seems over. You want to kick it so they have to return it.
Chiefs the Chiefs had a big one to start the game.
Yeah,
they didn't return it. Also, quick side note.
Yeah,
the Chiefs returned that kickoff like 70 yards, and that dude makes the tackle and forces the fumble, which the Chiefs recover anyway. But then the guy who makes the tackle is like celebrating his fumble, and then he's like, and he takes his helmet off, chucks it, 15-yard penalty, and then he nails his special team. That was insane. Like, what are you? That was the craziest.
Yeah,
like totally unjustified. Like you didn't, like it wasn't that good of a play, and then you're losing your freaking mind. I don't know if he might never play in the NFL again after that.
Yeah,
to be honest, like that was insane. It was hilarious, but it was insane.
Also, we're gonna keep sidebarring. Oren Burks just being good, you know, and like Goody must just feel so vindicated. Like, oh, my 3rd-round picks are actually good. Just somehow we can't make that. Like, and I actually feel like this is gonna be a super hot take. If we had Amari Rodgers still for some reason, like I think he would be a good kickoff returner. Like, because I think if he just had time or like just if things happen differently with him, I just feel like he could have been all right, you know, because he feels like he had a lot of the Jaden Reed shit in him, but he just never had a chance to develop into that. And I think he's kind of a big what if story. That he was like, because we got all Aaron's friends and he didn't get like playing time to develop, and then it was just like ousted. But I don't know. I think his career could have gotten a lot differently because like I don't know. The Oren Burks thing just pisses me off that this guy's got every single year in his career he's going to go to the playoffs. He might like go far in the playoffs, like Niners, Packers, now fucking Eagles. Jesus, I mean, good for him, but it pisses me off.
Yeah, and he's like contributing at a high level too. That's what's driving me nuts. Ty Montgomery, Amari Rodgers.
Yeah,
we just Oren Burks.
Rasul, right? Rasul got the fucking onside kick.
Yeah,
but I feel good. I'm happy for Rasul. Like I know, like of all former Packers, I probably have the best feelings towards him.
Yeah, I just
or Devontae. I guess
you are right about like developing those guys. It is a little concerning, and like to your point, more recently with the with like the draft a bunch of guys and throw them at them, it does take away reps from other guys.
100%.
Have some like kind of hierarchy. So
yeah,
it might, you know, you just don't know like guys' careers. Like if Jaden Daniels goes to the Bears, what happens? If Caleb Williams goes to like,
or they don't sign Keenan Allen. They don't sign Keenan Allen. You know, there's Rome in the conversation of like neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr.
Yeah.
I don't think he has a skill set, but I think he could have flourished more without Keenan. And I think DJ Moore would have flourished more without Keenan Allen.
Yeah. And sometimes you gotta like when you take a chance on a guy, you gotta like believe and trust in it. And
100%. Like it's like almost like why are you picking this guy if you're blocking his path? I think us trading Preston Smith was the best thing we could have done because like then Cox got a chance to flourish.
Yeah, and he was freaking awesome.
Yeah.
So it's just like you gotta trust your guys a little bit. And I think honestly that kind of goes to your point about the Lions. Like you're kind of sending a message like if you have to do all these trick plays, you don't really trust your guys to win actually on the field. Like we're kind of doing that with our players a little bit, and it's worked. Like we found some nice safeties late in rounds. We've but have we found a good wideout yet? It's been like years of doing it now.
Dude, and I like, and is Dobbs might never play again.
Yeah, I was concerned about that, the head injuries.
Yeah. And then no Watson next year. Like you could go from having a bounty of wide receivers to just Reed and Wicks.
But maybe that is like, all right,
it allows them. They get more and Wicks too. I mean, because Wicks gets open, right? Like if you just can't, like he could totally beat him on run raw, fucking Devontae Adams type guy. Yeah.
I think Wicks is a Puka, Nico Collins.
Yeah.
Right? Just like he's not the fastest guy, but he's a little bit bigger. He gets open. He takes willing to go over the middle. I would love to throw
and like
more.
the advanced stats love all three of those guys so much.
Hell yeah. So maybe it's a little bit of a I don't know, silver lining. The West Bend Mutual silver lining.
Yeah. I think we probably draft the wide receiver. Like maybe we draft 2 again. I don't know. Like I think that room needs a little bit more not the first round. I think we need I think we'll probably do like trenches or cornerback.
Bro, how do we still need defense?
Yeah,
I just can't. I'm losing.
Yeah. You know what we need? I think DJ Reed. I think we're gonna sign him.
Dude. Honestly, this is my take.
Yeah.
Best freaking player. I don't care who it is. I don't care what quarterback I probably wouldn't take. Besides quarterback, I want
running back. What about
guy.
Running back? I don't think running back, but there's supposed to be so many good running backs this year.
Jonty or
all of them that like fucking I
wouldn't take a running back just because Jacobs, but I would honestly take Tyler Warren, Penn State. That dude, the tight end, that dude was really impressive to me, man. He's 6'6". He's like
a Brock Bowers. Like he's done it. Like his stats are pretty eye opening.
Yeah, and he's fast. He blocks like fucking crazy. Like he reminds me of Kittle. And I think if you got a guy like Kittle and Tucker Kraft, like that'd be fucking sick.
Like I think that's a great point. And I think we should. It's getting to a point that I think we'll be the first to say instead of having wide receivers, just have a whole offense of tight ends.
Tight ends and running like zig when they zig.
Let's go back to just tight ends and running backs.
Yeah, we don't even need them. And then Musgrave is pretty much a wide receiver with his.
But he's kind of. It seems like he's out. Like that how disappointing. I mean, maybe like whole off season, whatever. But like he just.
Wait, he got hurt again?
Well, no, he got hurt when he came back, right? Like he was hurt during this year, and it just seems like that he's kind of like down that road of like just inconsistent, and like I mean he's fast, but you just see him run like his body. It seems like he's just too good for his own body, like too exposed. Like his body just can't handle how explosive he is.
Like a pitcher like throwing too fast for your
Well, and it's just like all herky jerky and it's just
but I do kind of like what you're saying. Like, let's just get real physical. I do. I did suck too with our like Jordan Morgan getting hurt, especially after.
Fucking Elton Jenkins.
Jenkins getting hurt.
Like that happens every playoff game. We lose like a stud O-line, and then it's just everything goes to shit. And like we're the only team that happens to. And like especially this year, we were blessed. And I think we should give a lot of credit to our strength and conditioning staff because they fixed Watson. I mean, he got hurt in other ways, but those were kind of freak injuries. Like he and Stokes too. Yeah. Yeah,
no, you're right. Is Stokes? How did Stokes end up? Do you think he's like?
I don't know if I would not mind bringing him back, but like I don't know. Like he almost seems kind of like Devontae, like Savage kind of thing, but like Savage was worse. But like similar situation where like the ceiling just doesn't seem to be there, and it's like it feels like it's like even if he ends up being good, like you end up like the best outcome for him. It doesn't seem like that's good enough for what this team needs to win the Super Bowl. Like what we said, right? We needed superstars, and I think Stokes would block. Take reps away from what we like. We need high end talent, right?
I kind of like that Jade Barron, the corner for Texas. He's going to be kind of around where we're going to draft.
Or that Golden guy from Texas, or that wide receiver.
Yeah,
he looked pretty good.
Yeah, no. But I'm kind of like best available player. I don't really care where. I mean, besides quarterback and running back, I guess.
Yeah.
I would literally take the best. I just want the best guys, best freak athlete. Like if you get a good player, they can find a way on the field, no matter who's in front of them. And like you can scheme around, figure it out, figure it out. So, and we play physical football. Like you look at these games, it'd be nice having 2 tight ends in like all these games, right? Like it's snowing in Philly, it's freezing in Kansas City. So I kind of like the Tyler Warren pick. I don't know, but we'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see what happens. Should the Packers get a redo? Obviously, we should have just restarted the game after like the first 30 seconds and been like, we forgot to run the clock, record the game for the NFL. I don't know.
Yeah.
Figure something out. And it would have been fun to see. But honestly, I'm excited for next year. I think we're hungrier. We're getting older, and I think we're going to make I think we're learning we need to make a little bit of changes, and we have money to kind of do some things.
And I think we're hungry. We're hungry.
So I'm kind of excited where we're at. We got the Brewers coming up in less than a month to get us to the start of the Packers season. So,
All
right, moving on. What do we got? College football preview. Notre Dame, Ohio State tonight. Wow.
Market does not like you.
What was that?
The betting odds don't like ND.
Yeah. So
I think that's kind of where you want to be, right?
It is. I do. Yeah. Like no expectations, right? I'll be honest. I've been on an emotional roller coaster for the past 10 days. It's been I started off with the spreads 10 points. I'm like, all right, Ohio State, they're kicking ass. They got all these freak wideouts, Judkins and Henderson, and Howard's playing well. They're Downs and Jack Sawyer. It's like, good Lord. The fact that I can even name that many players. But so it's like, all right, well, let's just kind of hope we can get a couple turnovers, stay in the game, and see what happens. And then I started watching some film. I found a couple of guys on YouTube that do film breakdowns, and they're pretty all do college stuff. And what I found is Ohio State's offensive line is their weak point. Specifically, their right tackle is really weak, but only 2 starters. Their left tackle, who is supposed to be a really high draft pick, got hurt. He's out for the season. And then I think only 1 or 2 starters are playing in their actual position because they've had to move around so many guys. And I'll be honest, Notre Dame's in a similar position. We're starting our left tackle is starting his 2nd game ever. He tore his pec in August, and he's playing because our left tackle went down. But I don't know. I just love our defense. I'm kind of I've watched enough hype videos to get me to believe. I think we're going to play man-to-man on Jeremiah Smith and Mbuka and Carnell Tate, and we're going to live or we're going to die, but at least we're going to fucking go down swinging, and I love that. We're going to be aggressive. I think we're just going to everyone is so focused on our cornerbacks versus their wide receivers. I see it more as our cornerbacks, our DBs versus Will Howard. Wideouts can do whatever the hell they want, but is Will Howard going to put the ball in places to make plays, or is he going to make some mistakes when we put pressure? Because Notre Dame is the number 1 blitzing team in college football. We're going to bring the fucking house tonight, and their O-line is struggling. And if we can get some pressure on Will and make some shit happen, dude, I think we can fucking make this. I think we can do this. And I'm pumped. I'm really excited for the world, like to see Jeremiah Love, the running back. He's feeling healthy.
He doesn't have a brace or anything anymore, right?
Yeah, he's gonna be like that dude's a fucking superstar. I think like when it comes down to these games, you have the Jaden Daniels, the Lamar Jackson, and not to put Riley Leonard anywhere near.
Okay.
Anywhere near, but
I don't know, why not? Why not put it
extending drives and picking up like third downs.
Mm-hmm.
We do a ton of like quarterback power on third and short. We're pretty much like our running backs just become the lead blocker, like a fullback almost. And Riley Leonard is 6'4" and he's big and like he falls forward and he's just like we're just going to be very physical and we're just going to try to, hopefully just like execute really well and not make mistakes and leave it all out there tonight. And I think Marcus is the guy to lead us. And like I'm fucking pumped to just watch these boys and like see what they can do tonight. I might be crying. Either way, I'll probably be crying.
Yeah.
Because this is probably like the most excited game I've ever been in my life. So
really, I think I've like really like I know you've been a big ND fan, but I think I've really underestimated, I guess, how into Notre Dame you are.
Bro, this is like my entire like nostalgia and childhood and like just my grandpa and just like family and like just so much around Notre Dame, specifically football.
Well, here's some interesting things. So Notre Dame man coverage, their coverage grade for PFF is 93.5, first in the nation. They have the most interceptions in man, most incompletions in man, and they have the second best passer rating allowed. And your true freshman cornerback, Leonard Moore, has posted a man coverage grade roughly equivalent to Colorado superstar Travis Hunter.
Oh,
so I guess, I didn't realize just how good your like secondary is. Although Will Howard ranks second among FBS quarterbacks in passing grade versus man coverage, so definitely seems like strength on strength. So I think that seems what the matchup is.
And then on the other side of the ball, I look at our rushing defense, our rushing offense versus their rushing defense. I think it's like top 5 versus top 5 there. So it's going to be it's pretty much like a battle.
I think it seems more like beyond the surface. It seems a little bit more competitive than maybe one would think.
Yeah, and I do think that we. Like our special teams coach, you talk about like special teams affecting the game. Watch like Notre Dame, man, they do a lot of,
and that shit wins. That shit wins. I don't know. I guess during that Georgia game, I think what stood out to me is just every single time they needed it, they got it, right? And that's whatever that is, coaching, talent, just mindset. I don't know, but that kind of speaks to me. And I think like Ohio State, I think losing Michigan was probably the best thing that could have happened to them for playoff chances, right? Like piss them off and gave them a chip. But I think that drive and it's the championship, right? You're gonna have drive, but I think there's something to be said about like that, especially when you like go out and like whoop Oregon. Like they whoop Oregon, they beat Texas, pretty handedly. Like I think. They're kind of maybe entering like the Lions type thing, especially with the spread being as big as it is, where it's like, they might just be like thinking like they have this in the bag, So
I hope so.
I don't know. I guess I'm kind of in on Notre Dame right now.
I feel like I'm already gonna like throw up, to be honest. I'm so nervous. Like just thinking about this and talking about this right now. It's like physical, but I think it's going to be fun. What I want to do is like, and it's funny because in a lot of these games, Notre Dame kind of gets worn down. And then by the second half, Ohio State would kind of just ram it down our throat. But we've been able to compete physically with these top teams. And I'm hoping we can just, I don't know, it's going to be a bitch, but I'm hoping we can just keep this one, close, have some fun. Our special teams, like if we're put in a position to do something crazy, we're not afraid to do it. And I think like the threat that we have, that is actually kind of powerful. Like versus Penn State on the field goal to end the first half, it's like a 48-yard field goal. There's 2 seconds left, and they have 2 safeties back, like not rushing the snap at all. It's like they're not, so they're worried about us faking something when we're down 10 points. Like that's not a high % chance of going for it there. They did the same thing at the end of the game when we're going for the field goal to win the game with like why the hell did we fake that? Yeah. Why the hell? Like, but still they got 2 guys back because they're like nervous. I have no idea. I can't explain that one. But just the fact that they're gonna have to spend a little bit extra time thinking and like prepping, and maybe we get them to like waste the time out. I do think it really is going to come down to like we can't have false starts, we can't have holding penalties, we can't go backwards. Our offense can't go backwards. And Riley, he has had a little issue like throwing a pick every now and then.
Yeah, and especially like on a big stage.
We need to clean that shit up tonight. So Riley, like, play smart. I believe in him. I think he can do it, but he's just gonna have to play a good, clean game. Trust Jeremiah Love. Run all over these boys, and like I think it's gonna be a fun battle. I think it's gonna be a good game. I think it's gonna be an awesome game to watch.
So what I was looking at was the so like percent of bets placed on DraftKings. So this is kind of surprising me. So money line, Ohio State is -380, Notre Dame's +300. 53% of bets placed are on OSU money line, and the spread Ohio State's -8.5. 52% is on the spread. So I really would have thought like Ohio State, like the bettors would have really favored OSU. I know like ND has a big following, so maybe that's like juicing stuff up or like, I don't know. But like I would have thought it didn't like kind of like, I don't know if you saw, but the Commanders Lions game, to go back to that, it was like 90% plus were on like Lions spread, Lions money line. And like it's always like when it's that lopsided, like always take the the other route. So that led me to be even more confident in the Commanders Lions choking, but I really would have thought like Ohio State would have dominated the betting here. So it seems like Vegas knows a lot more than like, or it seems like the line is actually like pretty representative of what is predicted to happen. So that kind of tampers my NB enthusiasm a little bit.
Well, yeah, we'll see what happens. It's gonna be fun. I just want to give a little matchup, a little underrated matchup that probably isn't getting talked about. Number 30 on Notre Dame defensive line. He is a freshman for us. So our starting Viper defensive end got hurt. The backup got hurt. We got the freshman coming and playing. This dude is Hall of Famer Bryant Young's son, Bryce Young. He's 6'7". He's 260 pounds, and he's fast as fuck. And he is going to tear up this right tackle's ass tonight. And in 2 years, he'll be a top 10 pick. Unfortunately, he won't go to the Packers because we'll be drafting too late. But this guy's going to be a future superstar. He's someone to look for, and he's a freshman. And I expect him to make some plays tonight. He might have a blocked punt. He has blocked 2 this year. He led the FBS in blocked punts. He's just kind of one of those guys who, like, I don't know, he has like this different physical ability. And I think those are the type of guys in these games that like can take you over the edge.
Freaks. Weirdly, seems like there's a lot of Bryant Youngs in the NFL. Like there's now 3, right? Like you saw like the Rams and Raiders, which is kind of funny. So like the Rams or the Raiders, like like the 2 Bryant Youngs, like the Rams one is actually the good one and the Raiders one is not the good one. But the Raiders drafted, I think they actually meant to draft the Rams one, but they put in the wrong name. So they got the shittier one because like the guy they drafted went like way higher than it was supposed to, and like the Rams guy fell a little bit. So I don't know. I think that's just so Raiders, right? That they drafted the wrong.
Call the wrong one, and then they drafted the other one or something like that. Yeah. Some crazy story.
Yeah, just bad organization. Like, and I don't know. How do you feel about like Brady? If you want to talk more about ND, that's fine. Like, I'll give you space. Okay, but like, I don't really know, like, because it's like versus like Elway or like Michael Jordan. Like when they were like superstar people. Like I always just kind of felt like that was going to go poorly because, like, anytime you're a superstar and you like go in the gym, I think you just can't relate to like players, because it's like, oh, why? Like, I was just so good. How come you're just not as good? But I think Brady, it might be the perfect one for this, because like he knows like you have to work really hard. Like his superstar ability was just like effort and preparation and mindset, and I think they could actually really play well in like like I don't know, like advisor, consultant, whatever his role is. But like I think of all like the guys that go into like professional, like the GM advisor role type thing, superstar, I think he has the shot to be the best out of all of them. Other than like, when you see like where it's like a Craig Counsell type, right? Where it's like you were just kind of like a utility guy, like you had to grind your way into it. Yeah. Like I think that always plays. Like that always plays like to be a good, but like for the superstars, like I can't remember another superstar in any sport being a good GM. And I think, or like executive, whatever you want to call it, like just good front office would be a better category to put it. But I think Brady actually has a shot to do it pretty well.
To your point about the hard work, I think Kobe would have been an interesting one.
Yeah, but he's also like really talented. Yeah, you're right though. That would have been interesting.
He was a grinder, and I do with you. Like you're the one, and I've always remembered this. You said like you reward hard work, not.
For raising a kid. Yeah, 100%.
What do you reward hard work?
So not just like intelligence, because then they just become like, oh, like I don't have to put in effort because I'm just smart, and like you just coast, and then usually then you hit a wall.
I think it might be true for all people. I don't know if it's just kids, to be honest.
You should always praise effort.
I think if you see like Tom Brady, he's 100% in what he does. So if he is like putting in the work and doing things, I think it just sets the tone for the whole organization. Like if that guy is doing it and has $300 million or whatever, and
like ruined his family because he worked so much, right?
It's like, well, then I got to do it too, because like, what am I if I like Tom Brady's working way harder and he's not even playing anymore? So, and I think that might be, to your point, like right now it's Mark Davis chaos. Yeah. And if you can like kind of slide in Tom Brady to be that buffer between like the owner, like the rich owner who just kind of enjoys
getting haircuts and PF Chang's.
Yeah. Just a regular dude kind of. I think that's I do think he could be really good. It's an interesting situation because their team is just so bizarre right now. Like the quarterback situation, the fact that Ben Johnson is even I think says a lot.
And does that say like I actually think that rumor is credible. Like I think that for some reason, even though like it seems like why, but it seems pretty credible to me.
I'm feeling it too, and I don't get it either. Maybe it gives you a longer leash. Maybe it allows you to draft whoever you want.
And like really like put your own stamp. Like you're basically starting from scratch, and I think that is like that's attractive, right, in its own way.
Oh yeah, dude, that's and you get it's like, all right, we're gonna give you 4 full years.
Yeah.
Funny, like the Browns, they tried to do that with what was that guy's name? Hugh.
Yeah.
Hugh.
That was fuck.
And then like, dude, if you lose, it's okay. And then he's like, and then he tried to sue him for. Yeah. He tried to hop on the Brian Flores. Lawsuit and like totally lost. Like, bro, what are you doing?
Well, he also went 0-16. I mean, like shit, bro. Come on.
But they told him like that was good because then he could draft high. And they drafted like Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward and like some really good players. But anyway, the Raiders, I do like the idea of like just being able to build a team. It's pretty fresh. They shouldn't really be strapped for money wise. They're in a brand new, beautiful stadium. You're in Vegas.
I mean, they have some talent, right?
Yeah. Henry Ruggs should be getting out pretty soon. So
that'd be interesting if he comes back. I mean, because he was pretty good, right, before that whole thing went down.
Dude, he was kind of starting to shine, and he was fast as hell. And then
would like NFL would even let him? I don't know. I guess you pay your debt for speed.
Yeah, I guess if you pay your debt, like that's fair, right? Michael Vick came back.
Yeah, but Michael Vick never went to jail, did he? Did he go to jail?
Yeah, Michael Vick went to jail for like 2 years.
Oh no, shit.
Yeah. Manslaughter's a little tough, I will say.
Yeah.
This podcast does not condone manslaughter.
Well, it
But-
depends who you go.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the Raiders could be a fun one. So we'll
I
see what
could, I
happens.
could see that. Yeah, I mean, I could see them being like the next team that like takes that leap, because there's always one team that takes a leap, right?
They could
and,
be
like-
next year's Commanders.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not
Yeah.
next year. Well,
Well, it could be. I mean, you hit on the QB. Like,
hit on a QB. Brock Bowers is a superstar.
it's a superstar, and I mean, like you have the high end talent. That Trey Tucker has really come into his own. You know, like you just, they got some picks, right?
They're just solid.
Basically,
No
it seems
doubt.
like they need an offensive line. Maybe
Yeah.
some cornerbacks. It doesn't seem like, I don't know.
They probably need a
But
lot
I
of help out this, but
Yeah.
and I do think that they can recruit free agents decently well because Vegas is like a
Well, and I think there's also just the allure of like the Raiders. I don't know, like they've done a good job of like actually their
The
offensive
history.
line is pretty good. Like looking at PFF, like left tackle 13th best tackle, left guard 6th best guard, center only 40th, right guard 17th overall, right tackle 46. Basically, it's just like defense, like cornerbacks or safety. They need a lot of help in. Like the secondary is like garbage. Like D line is Crosby's only 27th best edge, but I think that's because he plays every single snap. So like he, I think they like count every I think that works against him and the ratings.
kind of like evens him out a little bit.
But like basically, you get like a wide receiver 2, a quarterback, and then basically just do your secondary, which is a lot, right? That's a lot, but that's not completely unreasonable to do.
You don't have to do it all for 1 year, too, right?
Yeah, I mean, but you could. I mean, we revamped our whole safety room in a year.
Yeah, that is true. We did. What number pick are they? They're number
like 3, maybe
4, 5, 6. They're number 6.
Projected
is that wide receiver from Arizona, that tall guy.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard that he's supposed to be really good, but like, I don't know.
I don't really like it, to be honest.
No.
But I would take Abdul Carter at Penn State. That dude is sick.
Oh yeah. I think he's gonna go. Like, I think he's gonna go like top. I think he's top 5 for sure. I don't think he's gonna make it to the Raiders.
Yeah, they can trade up. Go get a guy. Go get a guy.
But I don't think he should. They need too much. I think you shouldn't do that.
Yeah. No, you're right. It's not like we're more of in let's go get a guy kind of position.
Yeah.
Like maybe we trade with the Raiders. They need 2 guys. Drop down 15 spots, get some picks.
Yeah.
We go and get a fucking stud. What if we get the 6'5" wideout? Like, that'd be sweet.
Yeah, that would be sick. But it's like,
yeah. I hope Goody. I mean, Goody's not afraid to make trades. So like, let's do it, man. Let's do it.
Yeah.
You're beating me pretty much, but
yeah.
So you have the Commanders.
Yep.
You have the Eagles. You have the Chiefs, and I have the Bills. I think the Bills were my first pick, so at least they hung on.
Yeah.
It's been
well. I'm pleased. I'm pleased with myself.
Yeah, Commanders. I've been impressed with the Commanders. I was a little disappointed with the Lions, but I'm not really mad the Lions lost at the same time. So, and then I kind of screwed myself because I think I had Baltimore and Buffalo.
Yeah, but that kind of that's almost a good thing, right? Where it's like at least you get one, and like I think you knew one of those teams were gonna,
And I do think I think were the Eagles your first pick?
Yeah.
I think you picked the Eagles and the Packers.
And the Packers, yeah.
My prediction right now is Eagles, Buffalo. So
I'm gonna say I think
Washington.
I think Washington's gonna win. I think it's gonna be like when the Bengals went to the Super Bowl that right away, or when it was really early and they kind of weren't. I think that's kind of like the command. The Eagles just see really beatable, and I think if Jane Daniels gets up to a lead, if the Commanders get to a lead, then it's you can't really run. like, I just think if the Eagles are forced to pass, I think shit is going to go sideways for them.
Yeah.
And they haven't been. Like, the playoffs, they haven't been forced to pass really at all. You know, like, they've been able to just have the luxury of running. And I think, you know, like, Jalen Hurts is like, you know, like, people kind of forget, like, he missed, right, all that time, like, when we talked about it. And he still, like, hasn't got a crap ton of reps, you know?
Yeah.
And A.J. Brown has not looked awesome. Like, the wide receivers have not. They've looked completely guardable, you know? So you just prevent the rushing, which Washington did. Like, Gibbs, you know, Gibbs is just as explosive as Saquon is, you know, and like their offense, you know, I don't know.
Brian Robinson. I do think Goddard has been a big factor for the Eagles recently. AJ Brown, I don't understand. Like 2 catches for like 10 yards. It's like, what is going on? You know, the weather's playing a role a little bit, but like, I don't know, it's a little weird. Like, he's better than that. You gotta like get him involved. You gotta run a reverse, do something. Like,
but he's like not a reverse guy, right? Like, he's a, and I think it's more, I don't know. Like, I just like that.
Devontae's kind of small. Okay.
Yeah.
One play that kind of annoyed me was that deep bomb to Devontae, and the dude just like lit him up. I thought, like, okay, I know you can't hit guy, but like, do you just have to let him catch the ball?
Yeah, right. But then, like, on the other hand, like that Bills one where they threw that up, and that looked like OPI to me. Like that, it was a Keon Coleman, I think. Yeah, like the offensive guy looked like and like that was a gift. You know, that was a huge. Like, I think people talk more about like the Chiefs calls and like all the stuff they missed, but like that seemed to me like OPI. You know, way more than.
Or just don't throw the flag at all. But
yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just, especially like playoffs, they seem like they let a lot of stuff go, which I like for the playoffs, but that seems a little sus to me.
People focus like a little too hard on like the important stuff at the end of the game, but I think that like drive extending penalties anytime, second quarter, first quarter, that lead to a touchdown.
Just as important.
It's like, I mean, it's just as big, and it happens quite a bit. So it's just kind of weird. Yeah, it's just too much.
Well, we just don't have like the mental capacity to like remember everything that happens. You know, we're just too dumb.
Yeah, but I'm excited. We should do a little. We can do a little preview. We got 2 games Sunday. I think it's like Sunday afternoon and Sunday night.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's Eagles, Commanders first, and then Chiefs, Bills in Kansas City. It's gonna be a hell of a weekend. I'm excited.
I think NFL is like this is probably like the best matchups almost you could ask for, right? Like you have divisional and then Bills Chiefs. Like, I don't know, great storylines, great ratings, great teams. You know, you had rookie pick, like just so many good stuff for the NFL. Like, they're probably salivating over this stuff.
And with this freezing weather, it's nice to like be inside and just watch.
Exactly. Yeah, like this is like, NFL just continues to just dominate and get everything kind of right, you know? Like,
dude, how is like the NBA like doesn't even exist almost.
No, and it's, you know, like it's just and I think, and like just physicality, there's just so much like kind of like intangibles that it just seems like it's different, you know? Like NBA, it just, and like baseball's kind of coming to its own, you know, like operating in this lane. Like, I think baseball is really doing a good job of just sticking to what it is, and like NBA is like trying to like, I don't even know what they're trying to do, you know, like because it's like it's a playoff sport, but they're still kind of trying to do like the regular season, and like the stars aren't playing, and I think that's like a really big issue too, that like just stars aren't playing and getting hurt, and like and no one really, I just don't care, you know, I just don't care.
Yeah, it's really just all the playoffs. It's like 8 teams get in the playoffs. We'll see what happens then. There are some really good teams like Cleveland and OKC.
Yeah, and I don't care, and I didn't even watch that. I just didn't give a shit.
They don't do a great job, like marketing. I don't know. It doesn't. I don't really like watching NBA. I don't want to sit down and like watch an NBA game.
Because I think people just care more. I think the issue is like people care more about players than they do teams. I think you need team loyalty. That's what you watch. You watch for the team. you
And
care
the
about
guys
stars,
that
you just
don't
watch
know how-
recaps.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like they've gone down that path where it's like they market players, and I get why, but like then it's like you're only gonna watch player clips. Like you don't need to see a game, and you don't even want to see a game. You're watching so much stuff that you just don't care about, you know?
Yeah. Well, speaking of, because we're moving on to world chaos, what do you think of the Dodgers?
Yeah, I mean, kind of BS, but also kind of like good for them, right? I keep coming back to that graphic. I think you talked about that the Yankees like outspent everyone back in like the mid 2000s by way more than the Dodgers are now. And that has kept me grounded with all this. And like, I think what pisses me off is that like not only are they spending, but they're just so competent in almost basically every single facet of the organization. Like great international, they are able to attract premium international talent. Great at drafting and developing their own, you know, like minor league players. Sure, they're like a little bit overrated, but they're like they're not like the level of the Padres or you can even. I'm putting Brew Crew. Like I think Brew Crew is really good drafting and developing, you know, people, but like or Cleveland's actually really good too. And I think Cleveland deserves to get more respect on, you know, like the Rays are, you know, like the golden standard, but like Milwaukee and Cleveland are catching up and they're gotten pretty good at, you know, developing players too. But they're good at that aspect. They're good at trading. I mean, just every aspect. There's no aspect that the Dodgers aren't good at. And that's like you can hate it, but you have to respect it, I think.
And I will give credit to the Dodgers too. Like it's not like yes, the new management and ownership group, they spent a lot of money, but this is like decades in the making. Like Hideo Nomo, I don't know. You just go back to like I read the story on Sports Illustrated about how Hideo Nomo, like when he was the first Japanese citizen to kind of become a superstar, I think, and make the transition. And he was like the guy. He was so like pretty much every Japanese kid growing up that played baseball like had the Hideo Nomo poster on their wall and like wanted to be like him. So everyone just has this Dodgers love. It's kind of like everyone growing up and like wanting to be Michael Jordan, you know?
Yeah.
And now it's LeBron. And, you know, I guess LeBron just shows go wherever. And, but so there's like this kind of loyalty to the Dodgers because they didn't even offer
the most. Yeah.
So I saw Tanner Scott, his contract 4 years, $72 million. The Cubs would not budge on 4 years, 66.
And I think that's kind of fair. That's a lot for
like that's where like, and I know the Cubs got to like budget and whatever, but like that's where you got to go to the owner and be like, dude, $6 million. You got to sell it. You got to sell it to the guy and be like, let's get this done. Let's make some shit happen. This guy's a stud, but the Cubs seem to be like the Bears, like everything else in Chicago. They're just satisfied with where they're at. And it's almost a little frustrating to watch in a sense, but I'm kind of happy too because like they're also my least favorite team. So it's this weird.
Yeah, it's just like you know, like we talked about, they could totally dominate the division just by outspending. Like they could be the Yankees of the Midwest, but they're the Mets, but they just refuse to. It's like they play down. Like there's no team that plays down to the competition, like from a GM standpoint. I think more than the Cubs.
And then
like the Brewers and Reds and Pirates are completely financially like handcuffed, you know. And Cardinals
are decent, but they're in kind of weird.
Not like in that tier, right? You know, it's like Cubs are up here, Cardinals are here, and then like the Brewers, Pirates, Reds are like down here, you know.
Yeah. The Cardinals' willingness to spend for their market size, if the Cubs were the same, they, you know what I mean? Just like relatively, it would be interesting. But on the Dodgers, it doesn't bother me at all. They're not doing anything wrong. They're doing exactly what they should be doing. They're trying to win. They're trying to take advantage of this moment. They're not like whatever. Any team can defer contracts. You got to be able to sell guys like why they're going to come be great. I think we've seen a couple of teams, and maybe like we fall a little bit in this. Like you piss off that top talent, they're going to, you know, players around the league notice. I think the Red Sox did it with Mookie Betts, and they've kind of have felt the fallout a little bit from that. And like, you know, in a sense, like that's a good thing. Like you should, you know, it's keeping people honest. And like, I do kind of hope that the Dodgers can be a little bit of a villain this year. And like when the Dodgers show up in Milwaukee or when the Dodgers show up in wherever, like
yeah, I kind of hope they're like the new Astros, right? That they get all this.
Astros.
They
I would almost compare them to like the 2015 Warriors. Remember when the Bucks had like the 24-1 T-shirts and they were undefeated, and like I want stadiums to get loud and like I want people to get jacked up to beat the Dodgers and like take down the big like David versus Goliath, and like I think we should lean into that, and that's fun, and it's fun to have a villain, it's fun to have a heel.
It's good for baseball. It's great. Like this is good for baseball.
Yeah, so I love it. Like and the thing about baseball, at the end of the day, playoffs, like weird shit happens
all the time.
Just having good guys doesn't guarantee. I think if this was basketball, it would kind of guarantee a championship. If it was football's a little more chaotic too.
Yeah.
But if you had like this many guys, it'd be a little crazy. But baseball, like it's just a weird, I don't know. It's just a weird, and we don't know what's gonna happen with injuries. We don't know what's gonna happen with, you know,
and like the Dodgers arms, you know, it seems like that's maybe their Achilles heel, like literally, right? That they just have all, because they just push their pitchers to the max, and like you get the best stuff, but you know, it's not reliable. One point I want to make is the Yankees, you know, used to get all the Japanese guys, right? Like Matsui and stuff, and like it seems like now, and that was under the old Steinbrenner, the new Steinbrenner, the new org. They don't have any of that draw whatsoever. And I think, I don't know, that's kind of interesting. Like, they're not really talked about as much. Like, you know, like, is the Yankees brand seems like it's diluted, right? Weren't able to retain Soto. Weren't able to get, like, any, like, star, like, free agents, you know? Like, you have to make a trade for it. And I think it was a good trade, but
why is their brand kind of diluted now? Do you think that just like the winning so much in the 90s and the Jeter and all that, like people, like young people?
I think it's because like they used to, because they like to that point where they outspent everyone. Like the old Steinbrenner would have stopped at nothing. Like old Steinbrenner, if it was under the old Steinbrenner, Soto would remain a Yankee, 100%. Like there's no way that he would have gone to the Mets. But like now it's like because they like when it comes to like free agents and stuff. Like the Soto contract is not a good deal, but it's also a really good deal. You know, like when it comes to like superstar free agents, you need to like outspend. You know, and I think the one thing I keep thinking about is Soto got $300 million more than Ohtani did, and that's just you know like that. There's no universe where that should happen, but that's how it is, right? You know, like 1 year just makes all the difference. Yeah, and like Ohtani, even like everyone's like, oh man, that was a big contract. But it's like, you know, I think it's like we just completely underestimate the value of time for sports contracts. You know, like Jordan Love's contract is going to look like even Mahomes when he got signed, and people were like, oh my God, so much. Now it's like probably the best contract in NFL, you know, and like probably 5 years down the line, Soto, as crazy as it is, be like, oh, that's a reasonable contract, you know, because it just, I don't know, it's just inflation.
Yeah, crazy inflation. Do you think that the Yankees almost are like thinking a little too highly of themselves, and young people are a little different nowadays? Like young people, and I don't know if it's just the world we grew up in or what we see on social media, but we just think about things a little differently. And like I think like things like making Soto pay for his own box.
Yeah.
Like
I think the Yankees' problem is they're just too practical, you know? Like the whole benefit of being that tier of organization is you don't get to be practical. Like you don't do reasonable, prudent shit. You do outrageous stuff. And that's why they were the Yankees, because they were outrageous, you know? Like you paid outrageous sums, and you got like, you know, I watched that, you mentioned that Red Sox Yankees thing, I rewatched that. Like just how they went like swing for swing, getting every single agent. Like you knew like basically that mindset of like, if I want something, I get it, you know, not I will pay up to a certain price or I'll do this. Like, no, like the old Yankees were like, if I wanted this, I went and this was mine. and they don't have that mindset anymore,
Yeah.
And it's probably a more reasonable, practical, prudent, like analytically sound, blah, blah, blah mindset. But like, that's not what the Yankees should be, and like, that's kind of what the Cubs are too, right? Where it's like, oh, but then you overpay a manager and it's like,
do you think the Yankees, they're acting a little poor, to be honest?
Yeah, they are, right?
Like a little bit of I don't know if it's a New York thing. I don't know what's going on over there, but like, are they? I don't know. Like they're
kind of like a cuck. They're kind of a little bit of cuckish.
Yeah. That's what happens when like a great guy who, like, this is what happens in organizations. You have this guy who's an asshole, but he he knows what it takes to get you to the top, and you might not agree with how he does it, but he does it. And then it goes on to the next, whatever, good times, create soft people. It goes on to the next generation. And then you have this guy like, oh, we're the Yankees. Everyone should just like come here and we shouldn't have to do these. And it's like, we don't need to spend this money. It's like, dude, you lost out. Yeah, they've lost the mentality, and they've signed a couple of good guys, and like you're always going to have there and judges of the world that are like going to be remembered as Yankee greats and want to go down and stuff. But I think they have lost a little bit of their, I don't know, that vibe around their team and history and like, I don't know. I think they could bring it back though. I will say that. General world chaos. Here, this is a wild one. Right. Joe Biden, Joe just pardoned his family on the way out.
All of it?
Like James Biden, Sarah Biden, Valerie Biden, John Owens, and Francis Biden. Like in the last, like a half hour ago. Also, he pardoned like a bunch of people this morning. I don't know. Yeah. It's just like Joe is whatever. We're just trying to move on, to be honest.
Yeah.
He's literally everything he complained about, he has become.
Yeah. And I think
this thing to me.
Like, has anyone had a worst year plus, Like, no, probably not. Like, go from like approval rating, like it's like, oh, he's fine, right? Like people just kind of thought Biden was fine. Not great. Not terrible.
Drops when Afghanistan withdrawn and never really recovered.
No, and it's just been, and like everything, all the stuff around him is just, like just, I think and I continue to do this even though I know this, but like I think we always just underestimate how quickly things, like attitudes about things change.
Yeah. Well, you've always been a big, like you've always had the ability to recognize like the swinging pendulum, right? And I do, and like it's funny because at times it feels like no way, right? Like,
but it always happens. It
does happen, and I do think that the conservative people who are taking over the government, or I don't even know if you want to call them conservative, whatever Trump is.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it conservative.
Yeah, populist. Should recognize like, you got to kind of play, like focus on what I would say is just like you got to focus on the main things that people agree on and want and get those things done, and then like people just don't. I think people are frustrated in the U.S. with just how the government operates, and like if you can just focus on making things a little bit more efficient, cutting down on costs, or unleashing our businesses so we can make more money, which I think is more likely is like you're not going to like cut down costs as much as you're going to make cost a smaller percent of income.
The overall pie, yeah.
So focus on that shit and like don't get distracted by like the culture war shit or all that other shit, because I think that's what like where the Democrats really cost themselves was kind of like leaning into like transing everyone and like just
an immigration. Yeah.
Immigration like run loose and like, yeah, it's like, no, you look at the polls, like everyone is like flipped completely on those issues.
And like it's completely out of lockstep of like how the Democrat Party actually votes. Like, I don't think there's actually been a bigger split between what the party votes for versus what their supporters, base, whatever their party, like the actual people in the party actually want. But it's like, I think they built like, so on one hand, it's like, I think, like people, like every party always kind of like just go like, they, no matter what they've claimed they want or vote for or believe in, like they'll always just kind of like morph into whatever it is. But I think there's just so much built up, I don't know, like not inertia, but it's almost like it feels like I think of like a bottom of a hole where it's just like all algae and plankton. Like it's just like, it's just all like grimy and stuck and welded together of like, we're so like DEI woke or whatever. And like to move away from that, I think like then you start like having major cognitive dissonance. And I think that that almost won't happen. I think it just will kind of keep doubling down on certain areas because, so actually here's one thing I wanted to talk about. There is a lawsuit that is I think it's going to go to Supreme Court for Indiana Police Department. And what is happening is, and I might not be 100% correct, but what is happening is the Indiana Police Department, like to become a police officer, you have to take a written test to do it, and it's objective, blah blah blah. And Black police officers are suing the police department because this test, right? You have to like pass it, and Black police or potential police officers fail it more than other demographics do. And so there's a Supreme Court case a while back, and that's kind of why people have gotten paid out for like tests, because it's like showed disparate impact, right? Even if like the test is objective, valid, unbiased, if a certain group fails it more than a different group does, then the Supreme Court ruled that it has a disparate impact, and that's not right. So true equity versus equality, right? That even though a group is not objectively as good as the other group in a certain category, since they are worse at it, that was shown not okay. And so this case will be like, I think, a very big barometer of how America will move forward. It's like people kind of focus on the affirmative action thing. Yeah, that has an issue, but I think this disparate impact where it's like, are we going to be truly objective as a nation and deal with the uncomfortable truths that results in? Or are we going to keep going down a road of we're going to, the equity road or the equality of opportunity road? And I think this could represent a big fork in the matters of, where we end up.
Yeah. I think I was reading about this. I think this is in South Bend, Indiana.
Yeah.
Yeah. Notre Dame. But it'll be, I think it's got it. I mean, to me, it's like, obviously you just want, I don't know, it's hard with me because it's like you want to give, it starts like so much. I think some of these issues, like a lot of times we're adjusting symptoms, and like these issues start so much younger and so much earlier than by the time like you want to go 100% based on merit, because you don't really, it doesn't matter. Like you want someone who can do the job as best as possible when you're picking up the phone and calling 911, right? Because you're in an emergency and you need help. You don't care who they are. And unfortunately, if like if we don't put people in America in positions to like become the best versions of themselves, no matter what color they are, it doesn't allow them to gain the right to show their merit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like for me, a lot of the times, it's like I think about these things all the time, and it always kind of just comes back to like helping young people, education. I think food and diet's a big one. Programs, and I think you need leaders too. Like, and I think one of the issues in society that I see is like the absence of strong male leaders for a lot of people, and I think actually
kind of the denigration of masculinity too, I think, is played a way bigger factor than
But then it's kind of like swung to a point where you have just like these insane assholes like an Andrew Tate who are become like, it's like that's not a man. But because there's like this void, they kind of fill it, right? And like And like, yeah, I don't know. I've seen some. I've never like watched his shit like a ton, but like I've seen some clips here, and he's just the way he like talks about women is just like extremely
Gross.
disrespectful, and it's crazy,
Yeah.
and it's like repulsive, and it's just not. I don't know what it is, and it's not. But somehow he's attracting like millions of people to follow, agree with him because he has money in the cars and shit like that. And I think like me and you growing up with how we did, like we're lucky we had good role models in our own lives.
And
Both
both genders.
Yeah, and it wasn't just our dads. It was like your dad to me and like my dad to you.
Or moms, teachers. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's other people that it's like you can be a good person, you can do things the right way, and you can be successful in life. And a lot of people have become really jaded, like everyone has to cheat their way to everything, and everyone's cheating, and you kind of justify yourself. So I guess I don't know. I think for me, it's like it really just comes back to like the kids and our education system, and so I'm a school choice guy because I do think like people shouldn't be condemned to a bad school just because they're born in a bad neighborhood, or because they can't afford to go live in a better school district. And so we combine that. I think we've become more aware now of like health is really important just for showing up at school, being able to focus, being able to be involved in sports. Like you just need to have a good diet. You need to get sleep. And you read some books like Evicted or Poverty by America, and you just kind of like see a different side of our world. And I just really wish we could focus more on like those types of things. Like yesterday, a great example. It's like everyone's like, save TikTok, and it's like fucking there's 2.5, 1 in 5 kids are underfed in the US. Like save the fucking kids, Like I'm just so sick of how distracted our country is on these issues and I get TikTok, like people have businesses and people make money, but like, we can do two things at once. And I just feel like we lose the focus so often within our society. And I'm not saying that this presidency is going to do any better. Maybe we'll see. Maybe we can just be more efficient in how we get things out. But
I kind of hope we're just more honest.
Yeah, I guess that's my rant for the day.
Yeah, and I think unfortunately, it's like kind of who you're born to decides your life, really, and that's kind of a cruel truth that no one really wants to admit. And like, no schools, like you can make things a little bit better, but like 70-80% of your life is just decided right, just in that 9 months, 10 months, right? And that's how it is. Like, and like, so we spend all this money trying to like do it at the margins rather than, like, and then it kind of leads to the thought of genetic engineering. Should we have great test tube babies? Is that a good thing? But then that opens a huge ethical gray area where it's like, okay, but then if like China has super babies, right, and they're already kind of starting to do that, I think, where they're doing like genetic mutation for children, babies. Like how do we as a country keep up? But then do you even need that if like AI becomes what it's said to be? Like I saw that like a curated AI instruction platform for kids within 6 months did just as well as like did the same amount of gains as like 8 years of schooling. And like
that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, but then like will that ever like then the unions are like, holy shit, that represents such a threat to my life being, and we see how much power they have. Like that probably won't even be like I think it's when it comes to entrenched interests, the better a thing is, the worse chance it has, because that is so terrifying. And then they have to admit truths to themselves of like, I'm kind of useless,
It's frustrating too, because like, like as technology changes, just like, industries change. Like you can go all around our country. We've had industries collapse, and like Gary, Indiana used to be a big city.
Yeah, but people like can't imagine a future because it doesn't exist.
Like, like no one has any problem putting like a bunch of coal workers out to dry, right? We'd cut their ass. but you tell a bunch of teachers like, hey, like we have better technology that's replaced there, it's like the end of the world. It's like, and it doesn't necessarily mean like we're just putting you.
No, like you should focus on like the like interpersonal things, which I think that's what the best value to teachers actually bring. And like that,
different jobs, different opportunities.
And then you can focus more on that, like basically just being like a role model, really. Like that's kind of what their job is like a role model referee. Like a social behavior coach type, and like monitor interactions and whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My other idea I had the other day was because I've been kind of a fan of and maybe we've talked about this, was like even after high school, whether you go to college or I'm a bit like just doing something for 4 or 6 more years, just because men is specifically just really getting a lot of trouble pretty much. Men. And I was thinking like right now we need a bill, right? And we just had these crazy fires all over LA. We are in a housing shortage. It would be awesome for like men to sign up, women to sign up. You could have some older people teaching younger people, and like sign up and like almost like almost like a Peace Corps idea, but like America, where you're going around and you're like, all right, we're going to build houses. We're going to learn electricians. We're going to learn how to HVAC. We're going to construct.
Like work with your hands.
Yeah, and also like pay them, like give them, like help them like manage their money, help them like like a college. Yeah, I don't know, whatever you want to do it, but like let's invest. I just want to see us invest in our people and then have them build our own for ourselves, and like it just would like keep the money in this. It's kind of like a trickle down, I guess, but a little bit there. But like it would just be kind of cool to see us, and I think we need a lot of it now, especially with like who knows how long the fires and shit's gonna take, and I'm sure we're just gonna need a lot of stuff to do. But
one thing I want to see is a Succession type TV show, but with like the Yankees, like Yankees. I think that would be kind of cool. Like like have Steinbrenner be the old guy. I think that kind of show, like Succession sports, like front office. I think that could be kind of a cool show.
I like that. I would love to see like a look into the international world.
What do you mean?
Like whether it's Japanese or it's South America or Dominican Republic.
South America thing I don't think we want to see how that sausage gets made down there.
Dude, the book that could be written and the stories, I just like you can't even imagine like the shit down there. I just think it'd be legendary, and someone's got to go and write that book and spend.
Being like a really shady agent,
If we have any listeners that happen to have graduated from journalism school and spent some time in South America, you are perfect.
You can actually be a net gain to society instead of the lead you are now.
This is my last thought that I was thinking about that I thought was kind of funny. So I think the Democrats using the Hitler comparison and softening it so much, right? It was like Bush and Romney and Trump and everyone's Hitler pretty much, right? And because you've taken that and Nazis and the Holocaust and you've taken it so much, Gaza happens and it gets turned around and it got flipped onto them. And honestly, maybe played a role in this election. And I do think there's a little bit of karma in that. Like you created this and now you have to deal with what
I'm gonna take your point and go even further. They did that on purpose because they're an anti-Semite party. And that's a great way to undermine the Holocaust is by normalizing it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, isn't that like the true goal of an anti-Semite is to normalize how tragic and like how insane that was? And like they've done that. Like if you just look at like I definitely think in terms of like what has actually like the influences things have happened, like the results, decisions have been made and the results that have come of it is like the only thing that matters, not like why you did it, you know? Like if you said like, oh, I went into a burning building, but I ended up like spreading that fire to everywhere else, you know? Like people will be like, oh, your motives were to save a burning building. It's like, no, you actually spread the fire. So that's what you should be judged as, is how, like, what actually happened. And I think that's how the Dems should be judged, is, you know, like, and you see like the journalists take off their journalist stuff and put on the kifka or whatever, like how, like, not even having in these type of charade, you know, like how embedded journalism was there with the Hamas is Frank, you know, like the whole CNN thing, they saved that guy and then he turns out to be like Hamas general. Like,
remember that
you can't make that up. Yeah.
AP got mad because one of their buildings got blown up, and it was they're like, well, we didn't know Hamas was operating in the same building as us. It's like they were like working with you.
Yeah, like it's not like just maybe even like as a start, maybe make an attempt to do your job. Like we don't expect you to actually do your job, but like, you know, make an attempt, you know, and then maybe you can start gaining some credibility.
To your point though, like the cheapening of the Holocaust has always kind of bothered me, because like at the end of the day, 6 million people died, and like and the fact that they weren't able to just say, like, you can make all the analogies in the world, but like, why that one? You know, like it was just way too far. It was always too far, and I think it finally just did come and bite themselves in the ass, and deservedly so, because it's like you just shouldn't. You shouldn't be doing that with things that are like so serious and like so extreme parts of society, like history.
The hyperbolic cheapness of society is kind of a disappointing trajectory we are on. Yeah, and like Trump too. You know, like I mean, like Trump. How we kind of, everyone just gives him a pass for just being lying basically all the time. You know, and like doing shady shit. You know, like this meme coin thing. That's not good, you know, like they were just all okay with just crap, and supposedly like, you know, like Ronald Reagan, I watch that speech every year, like the shining city on the hill, like we're this shining turd on the hill, and like we're okay with it. Like that's what we aspire to nowadays.
We forced Jimmy Carter to sell his peanut farm so he wouldn't have any conflict of interest,
and then now we have like everyone just has conflict of interest.
I think it's because
you know,
he's like the greatest trader in the world. Apparently.
I think it's because we don't pay our government officials enough on paper. Like, so I was reading more about Singapore. They pay their like government people like hundreds of thousands of dollars in equivalency, and like if you are corrupt, you get executed. Like straight up, you get killed. And like, so it's like you have a massive carrot, you have a massive stick, and that's what you kind of need to do, right? Like, because like these are super important positions, they're gonna get compensated somehow, whether it's under the table type stuff, which we've decided that we prefer that. And I kind of get it, right? Because it's like America would see, you know, America hates rich people, and so it's like it works for musicians, right? Where they have Ticketmaster be a bad guy, so we have lobbyists be the bad guy for government people. I guess that's kind of how we have to operate. But like, I don't know. I think the moral of this is like American people deserve this, because I think we're the ones really failing in our expectations, you know, like what we expect and what we're okay with and what we vote for, and, you know, like what we're interested in, you know, like, I don't know, like you said, the TikTok thing.
We're the one who's lose focus. We're the one who keep reelecting these people. We're the one who, so it's like
TikTok is more important to us than anything else.
Yeah, it is what it is, I guess. But yeah, I think to your point, it's a hard sell because people are frustrated with the government. But I think, you do got to pay them more. There's also a tough, you know, there's the reality, like you have to own 2 houses or 2 places. You have to have something in DC and something in your home district. So like that's expensive.
Yeah.
Joe Manchin had like a boat in DC or something, but
that seems very Joe Manchin.
Yeah, right. He would like live on a boat, because I remember people would like paddle up and chant shit at him. But
that's funny.
But yeah, like you should just pay them. And just like if you think about it, it's like well, two thoughts. It's kind of like the NCAA before NIL a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like under the table versus like open. I would rather just have it be open, right? Like,
yeah. Like
put
if
it all
something's
out.
happening, even though it's bad, we've learned that from the war on drugs. Better, even though it's bad, like
Let's see.
yeah.
Let's see. And then the other thought is like, oh fuck, what I was gonna say. I don't know. Yeah, I think you just got to pay them more so that they can. Oh well, they hang out with like, they're kind of in like these elite areas of society, and they're working with like industry leaders and different. So it's hard to make. It's hard, like you're making 175K and you're hanging out with millionaires and billionaires,
right? And you have power over billionaires' lives.
Yeah, and it just doesn't really make sense, and it doesn't need to be
paid $150,000 a year when you can like make a billionaire $100 million or make them lose $100 million. Like pretty clear that they're going to influence you then with a rounding error to their net worth, but to you it's like the most money you'll ever get ever.
Yeah. What do you how do you feel about the tech billionaire involvement in the new admin coming in?
I think it will have good things at first, but then I think it's gonna I don't think the tech people are good stewards of America, because I think they're like just the people that live in that bubble are really isolated from actual Americans, and I think they have good ideas. Like good ideas can result out of that, right? But also like it's one thing to make an app, right, versus to lead a country. And like there's trade-offs that they think like with autistic brain that you think like on paper makes no sense, versus like that they would be absolutely willing to make that they shouldn't make type thing. And like to be pressed, like I don't know what those are, but like I think, and like also too, like the whole immigration thing, like that's probably gonna go overboard, and that's gonna lead to like some gross stuff too, so
I'm sure it won't be
how kind of cozy we are getting to China. Like I think it's not a bad thing in itself, but like like if China takes over Taiwan, what will America do? Like what will Trump and America do? I don't know. And
it is an odd one. I don't know. Right now we kind of have a position of,
because like we don't need Russia. Like we can have a moral high ground with Russia, and like we get to feel good about ourselves with that. But like China is a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, and you also you got to kind of convince it's not really convincing. I mean, you got to convince your own people you have a moral high ground, which I think we maybe are losing a little bit, which is a little sad because I still, everything wrong with America, I still believe we're morally better than
everyone. We're like the morally best country that's ever existed ever.
Yeah. And so with all of my frustrations, like I still hold us to we hold ourselves to a high standard. And I don't know if Trump is necessarily helping that when he does stuff like the meme coins. I don't know why he does it either, because it's like,
because he gets money, he gets billions of dollars. Like he probably got like $10 billion from that shit.
Yeah, but the weird part to me is like it's his own supporters that
but he has proven time and time again that's what he does. He just scams his supporters, and they're fine with it.
Keep coming back. It's bizarre. It's bizarre.
It's like it's an abusive relation. Like it's like really an abusive relationship if you look at it. Like he's just taking money from poor, scammable, stupid people, and these people. I mean, he's like a cult leader almost.
I think like that. Did you ever see that Michael Moore? He did that video back in 2016 about Donald Trump, and pretty much just like he's like the Molotov cocktail that people just want to throw into the government and just be like, fuck it. And I do think that it was probably the best well said. Like he's like, you're just pissed because your insurance sucks and this sucks, and you got to take out a loan to students, and there's houses are expensive and everything. But it is. It's I do hope that the tech guys can at least just bring in like efficiency within some of our government.
There's so much growth,
because like we use computers that are like 50 years old, and it's just insane, like shit like that. So if we can if we can do some things like that, and you're right, though, how long until it all like falls apart?
And like, oh, let's just push a mass update, but then realize that our nuclear launch systems work on this old computer because it can't be hacked and it's isolated and all that stuff. Right? Like that's kind of what I'm scared about.
Yeah, dude, I kind of wonder with that, like, does that stuff even work? To be honest, is it more of a threat?
And like, does China like just like know everything that we do? Like, and know everyone's passwords, and they've like proven that they can like convince a whole American population to like, believe them.
If you have even if someone has like your email and a contact, they in TikTok, they pretty much have all your information.
Yeah, and like.
And they've already hacked all into our infrastructure and everything.
Yeah, and they have like, you're
just kind of like waiting.
Like they could like totally just take over America.
Yeah, it's like, can we just work together and maybe like go to Mars?
Maybe. Yeah, I could see that. Like, why don't we just become friends?
Let's go to Mars. Let's become interplanetary together. It'd be fun.
Yeah.
We need to have like
that. I could see that, like China becoming an ally. I could totally see that happening.
Yeah,
it's not as crazy as Japan. I mean, like Japan was way worse. Like Japan and America, and like I mean, it makes sense for us to be allies. India has proven, like we thought India could be the next China, and like they have. I think India has been one of the biggest losers on the global stage in terms of like public perception. Like they have issues they need to sort out. Like China sorted out their issues, but India has not. And it doesn't look like
India has kind of leaned into the Russia thing, which I'm a little disappointed. To be honest, I thought they were gonna I was kind of hoping we could do a little more work with them, but
I don't. I kind of don't want to. I think India is not a good. Like their people are not good. Their culture is not good. I don't want to get too into it because this is like my face is out there, but I have extreme negative. Yeah, I have extreme negative sentiments about India right now. Probably the worst of any country.
Well, but not everyone is. There's good people in society. There's bad people in society.
And India seems to have no good ones.
Okay. All right.
All right, let's move on. All right.
Anyway,
good episode 8. I have to figure out my heating because it seems like it's not working.
Yeah, let's hope for the best. And go Irish! I can't wait to watch the game.
Mm-hmm.
In 6.5 hours. Here we go. So, go Irish!
Good luck.
We'll talk soon, and we'll do a little Brewers recap coming up. I would say let's do a little Brewers spring training.
Yeah, we gotta do it.
And maybe we'll do like a fun minors, international,
everything.
All those guys you like. So, all right, man. Have a good one.
Right,
go Irish, and hope peace and love in the world.
Peace and love.
See ya.
Kudos.